Celtics handed the Cleveland Cavaliers their first loss of the season last night, 120-117 at TD Garden. Jason Tatum had 33 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists, and Al Horford added 20 points as the Celtics had to hold on late for the win for head coach Joe Mazzulla.
To me, I care more about can we do it again, 72 hours, whenever the hell we play, and can we do it again a month from now and a month later, understanding that we're not going to be at our best all the time, but the most important thing over the course is can we just chip away and do that. So it was great that we did it tonight for the guys. They showed the level that we can get to. We just got to do it over and over again.
Donovan Mitchell scored a game-high 35 points for the Cavaliers, who fell to 15-1. The Celtics are also still alive to advance to the knockout round of the NBA Cup. They'll play another Cup game against the Washington Wizards Friday night, but first, the team will visit the White House tomorrow. As for the Bruins, some big news late yesterday afternoon as the team fired head coach Jim Montgomery after an 8-9-3 start. Former Colorado Avalanche head coach and current Bruins assistant Joe Sacco is Montgomery's interim replacement. The team's next game is at home tomorrow night against the Utah Hockey Club. The Patriots will hold their first practice of the week today. They visit Miami on Sunday. Red Sox pitcher Nick Pivetta officially declined the team's qualifying offer yesterday and will test free agency. And one of the best tennis players ever, Rafael Nadal, retired yesterday as his home country, Spain, lost to the Netherlands in the quarterfinals of the Davis Cup. Sports Hub headlines are powered by Oakhurst Technologies, delivering the attention of a local team with the scale to be your single-source IT partner. Happy Thanksgiving from Oakhurst Technologies, proud partner of your New England Patriots. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
Get There's the potential there for big stuff.
98.5 The Sports Hub app. Get the app.
Fred, hello. 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 Mm-hmm. Hello. Hello. Hello.
He's naked. He has a sword.
Super him up with a football.
98.5. The Hub.
Bruins are back from the West Coast.
Cocaine and hookers. Yes. Na.
Is it okay to use this for the radio?
Yeah. Welcome to the show, you sweet bitch. Na. Let me hear you say hell yeah. I knew it, you knew it, but they ain't know it. Let me hear you say,
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. You can know that we are brought to you. That's my little thing to.
I knew it, you knew it, but they ain't know it.
Oh, that's right. You sunk into my head, urban Travis Kelce.
Na.
And then you talking on your TV shows, you sound like, "Hey, this is Travis Kelce."
It makes me feel like,
He's going to be famous forever.
Na.
That kind of talent cannot be denied.
You got to fight for your right to Lombardi, Fred.
Oh, John.
Did he say that?
Yes, he did. At top volume.
Oh, I didn't know he said Lombardi.
Oh yeah,
wow.
you got to fight for your right to Lombardi. Oh, sure. I'm sure, Ryan, it could take Ryan about 5 seconds to find that.
No, I know we have it. That's funny. I never knew he was saying Lombardi. I thought he was just saying party. That's even worse.
Oh, yeah.
And what's worse, anything you write and say is 100 times worse. Like, if you write it and say it, it's either got to be like the most offensive thing ever, and you just kind of like go, yeah, or it's got to be funny. Everything else is a dumpster fire.
Does nobody know we represent and honor every single veteran that went to war for us in World War I? What's good?
All you veterans out there, thank you for your service. I can't do it as well
Those
as
of you
that.
who are still alive who fought in World War I.
Yes, he honored everyone who's still alive from the World War I. He's a big fan of Red Badge of Courage. It was too much.
All of you 123-year-olds that fought bravely in that battle.
Well, yeah, and then he started talking about the War of 1812 and got very misty. His uncle was in it. Anyway, we're in the Tom Fair Tire Studios, 617-779-0985. You can watch us on YouTube. You can watch the show at any point. I subscribe to the algorithm, and I was telling John that now I get shows all the time. In fact, my daughter was watching YouTube on the television because I have Apple TV like a hotshot. By the way, people were saying if you had Apple TV, the Tyson-Paul fight didn't break up. It broke up. But I don't know. I don't know who it didn't break up on. And by the way, someone's suing Netflix, so at least that's happening.
Oh, good.
So you'll get something in the mail, some annoying thing that there's a class action lawsuit against Netflix, and then you're going to, and if you want your $25, you're going to have to go A, B, and C.
Every once in a while, though, I'll just get a check. And I mean, it's happened like maybe 3 times in my life. But
I've never gotten the check. I've just gotten
a check just shows up, and it's worth it, but barely. It's a check for like $16.
Royalties from that Nesson show you did?
No, from like class action lawsuits, from like I don't know, Capital One or something like. See,
Is that Golfing the World that you did on Nesson?
it's Golfing the World. Yeah,
Yeah.
there are no royalties from Golfing the World.
Sorry.
You know what's really improved their business is eBay. Because the cleaning lady came, or she lives, it's like I got 2.5 man situation. I just got a lady who lives there. No. The cleaning lady comes every other week. She came and she found this like card, this graded Duke Snyder card. And I was like, oh, wow, I have a lot of this crap. Like I just got it, and like it's just sitting. Like I don't even know I have it.
Duke
Snyder, center fielder for the 1955 champion Brooklyn Dodgers.
Very
It's
impressive.
impressive.
Very impressive.
Big Duke Snyder guy. Big Dodgers guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you loved when he played. That makes sense. And so, I mean, I can imagine the way you hung on the TV in 1955. Of course, Adam likes him.
Well, I recently purchased a bottle of Duke Cannon shampoo and conditioner at a local drugstore, so
Wow, you guys have so much in common.
I feel like we're all talking the same language. Go
So
ahead.
I'm like, I'm gonna sell this on eBay because Fred T sales is legit. Lots of positive feedback. So it's funny because you said $16 is worth it. So eBay is great now. So you go on eBay and you can see what the card sold for. Okay, and so you can like kind of get a feel of how much it's worth. If you go to the eBay app, I just copy what someone else who sold the card, their description of it, okay? It automatically fills everything out. Then it gives you a price, but I finagle that. And then it says, do you want to AI the description, like the full-on description? So what used to be a pain in the ass and like writing everything out and finding out about it, now they just do it. And they have like the trigger words that like help with their searches.
Oh.
So I put 2 cards up there yesterday. The Duke Snyder, $60. We're starting at 60, and then a Saquon Barkley rookie prism situation, like a 10 graded 10. That's
You have
20.
a 10. You have a card that's graded 10.
I have a bunch of cards that are grade 10. It's not that big a deal, but it's only worth $20. I mean, it's the bidding's starting at $20.
Sure.
The Duke Snyder's already got a watcher, but if you're looking, but once it's that easy and you get in the groove, you're selling things for way less money than they're worth because that's like cleaning out the attic.
What percentage of the cards that you care about are you trying to sell off?
None.
Okay.
None.
So, okay.
I probably have 30 cards that I care about, and
Okay.
and there's
Out of like thousands, right?
of not graded cards. I probably have 100 graded cards.
Okay.
Maybe not even. Probably 75 graded cards because I thought I had more because I started looking everywhere for them yesterday, and I was a little disappointed I didn't have more because I was like, I have some graded cards that are just garbage. If anyone's into vintage like nobodies, I have a lot of graded vintage nobodies because I used to get these boxes that they would split like a 1952 top set. Probably not 1952, but like a top set where there was a chance of getting like a Mickey Mantle or like a Willie Mays card, not a rookie, but like a chance of getting one of those cards. Like someone was going to get one. They split them. Say there's 350 cards, 325 cards in a box. You had one out of 325 of getting one of these not well graded cards. and then I would just end up with crap. So if you're into and that sounds like an Adam 12 thing. I just gave you would like the vintage cards even if they were nobodies. You'd probably like the nobodies better because they're everymen.
I probably have some myself. I haven't gone through my collection in ages, but yeah, maybe you'll come over and take a look, see what you got.
Yeah, we could flip them.
When you say vintage, what era are you speaking of?
50s.
Oh yeah, I'm interested. Yeah,
I mean, I have a card from the 1910s.
What do you remember the player?
No.
Okay.
And it's not I bought it.
It's a tobacco card, right? Like the long skinny ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, it's a short it's like a stamp.
Oh,
like
sure,
stamp.
yeah. They had the ones that were.
It's not like the long skinny tobacco cards. No. But I wanted just like a really old card, so I bought a really old card. It's not very great. It's not good.
So when you I think I have a similar situation when you have a lot of something and you realize that some are going to be much more valuable than others. Do you ever think about just, you know what, I got to find somebody to buy all this stuff. Just buy it all at once.
No, because I don't have enough of it. Like if someone wanted to buy just like an ass load of free card, like non-graded just like cards, that I have a lot of. And I have a ton of unopened packs.
Oh.
But nowadays, because Adam was talking about this yesterday, he used to go to this card shop, but then they found a guy resealing the packs.
Yeah, that's right.
So the problem with wax packs is now you have to almost get those graded.
Right.
Because they got to be shown. And so now people buy packs that are under seal. Like they're graded like cards. So their intention is never to open the pack. So I really, really don't feel like, and I hit during COVID, I hit like a mother. I have like a ton of 1982s, a ton of 1978 packs, like I unopened. I have like a ton of them, and I don't believe that they've been tampered with. I certainly don't have the wherewithal, or I mean, it's pretty obvious I don't have the skills to reseal a pack. I mean, let's be honest.
But would you resell? Would you sell those unopened packs?
Here's the problem with that: is that in a certain world they'd be very valuable, but then if I just sold them without going through all the rigmarole, they wouldn't be that valuable.
How much?
What the buyout is?
Yeah. How much?
I don't know. I'd have to do a little bit of research. Thing is, you don't want to get scammed. If you want to sell this stuff, you got to get over getting scammed. You got to get over like not getting the highest price. You got to accept that someone's going to make money. Someone is looking to make money off this purchase. That's what you got to accept.
But I would say though, you're in a better position now than you ever have been because there are so many resources online, so you know what you have. You know what you have, like what it's worth.
Yeah, but someone's got to buy it. Is
right.
The problem? I know it sounds obvious, but it's not.
But and those are two different things. There's what it's worth, and then there's what someone is worth paying for.
Right, and then you get into that thing. So, and then it becomes, is it worth selling it? Like the Saquon Barkley, I don't care. And the Duke Snyder, I didn't even know I had it. And I didn't even know I had the Saquon Barkley. So, like, I figure my thing is it's worth going to the post office for $20. One trip to the post office for $20 is fine. I wouldn't do it every day for $20, but, like, once if I could. So, say I sell the Duke Snyder. Say it's, like, $80. That's worth a trip to the post office. It's right in my neighborhood. As long as there's not a long line.
Sure.
And then you're getting rid of this stuff and you're not just giving it away like some Adam 12 type. And so, no charity here. But if I feel it's worth like a lot of money, then I would rather just keep it than sell it. I'll wait until I get fired, and then I desperate need of money.
That's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
What's your retirement plan? Well, I have these cards.
Yeah, what could go wrong? When I thought I was going to get fired from WBCN, I sold all this stuff, and I was selling it to listeners. Like, I was just going on the air, and I remember I had a framed Kovalchuk signed jersey that someone at my old station had given me, and some dude felt bad for me, so we bought that. Like, I was just, like, selling stuff.
Why sell I sold stuff off the walls. You want a Godsmack gold record? Yeah, I got one for you.
Oh, yeah. You're like Sean Demery at 99X.
You were selling, you were...
Anything that wasn't nailed down. You want that? Yeah, I'll take care of you.
Okay.
Yeah, Sean Demery, who was a great, great guy that worked at 99X, part of the reason I'm in radio, he helped me a lot in radio. He quit 99X in his last day. he just goes, "Hey, I was doing nights," and he's like, "Hey, do you mind?" Because we were playing 55 songs, and he's like, "Do you mind helping me out?" And I'm like, "No," and he had like he was just going around with a drill and taking the records off the walls.
Yeah.
He was like, "These are mine."
That's great.
Good.
And so he took them all. And you know what those are worth? Zero.
Nothing. Well,
Zero.
if it has someone else's name, like on them, yeah.
Because there was a Paul's Boutique gold record that was for sale for like $150. And I went, "Oh my God, that's so cool." And then I went, "No, it's not." I went, "No, it's not."
They made a gazillion of them.
Yeah. And it's just a dyed record. And it's like to some schmuck in like, Peoria, Illinois. Like,
Right.
who cares?
Well, remember, too, the gold records, most of the time, maybe it was one of you that had brought this up. It might be something that we talked about on the Stat Cardy, or I might have read it elsewhere. But it was the Beastie Boys who figured out. They like took apart one of their own gold records and took the lacquer off, and it's not even a Beastie Boys record.
Right.
It's like some like random record that was in like the warehouse that they just took and like lacquered like 500 of those. To give
Yeah,
out to people.
because they looked at it and they
It's like
said,
a Rod
wait a
Stewart
second.
record or something
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
track one is only 42 seconds
Right.
long on Paul's Boutique. Why is it,
Yeah,
it's
Yeah,
thick on the
because
vinyl?
it's like a promo single for like Rod Stewart.
And that was, I know where you saw that clip because it was in your algorithm, is the Conan O'Brien interview of Adam Horovitz. I dare you to listen to the whole thing.
It's tough to get through.
Oh, boy. Hachi Machi. All right, Hardy, what's coming up? I could never imagine.
Yeah, well, a couple of things to get to. Number one, what the Bruins did yesterday, what the Celtics did last night. Oh, and more news out of New York with your beloved New York Jets.
Oh, yes. All right, we will have that for you in just a moment. Fletcher and Hardy. Hardy, what's going on?
The previously unbeaten Cleveland Cavaliers were at the TD Garden last night, taking on your Boston Celtics. Celtics dominating early, using a variety of their stars, and I would call them star-adjacent players.
Jaylen Brown muscles his way in on Sam Merrill, draws the double team, kick out. Pritchard is open again. Three, money.
Leaving a hot shooter.
Double on Jaylen Brown. You pay the price.
Peyton Pritchard was very good early on in this game and would factor in later. We'll get to that in a moment. But a strong start for the Celtics last night, Wallach.
They look fantastic. I mean, this was a playoff game. And if you look at the minutes distribution for both teams had short benches last night. Both coaches played it like a playoff game. There was no Baylor Shireman, no Luke Cornett, no Xavier Tillman, no Jordan Walsh. Joe Mazzulla also played it this way, and they responded. They looked fantastic in the first half.
They did. They jumped out to the early lead. They would maintain it. They took a big lead into the half, and then they extended that lead in the third quarter.
12 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists for Mobley. Tatum pull up 3 on Jared Allen. Got it. The Celtics are just way too comfortable at the three-point line. 18 of 26.
Yes, their methodology of shooting lots and lots of three-pointers paid off for them at the 7:50 mark of the third quarter. As long as I live, as many basketball games as I watch, I still get tricked. And I think a 21-point lead, about the midway point of the third quarter. Wow.
If you're up by 40, you're fine. Anything less than that, doable.
Feeling pretty good. I mean, they're
Yes.
certainly not going to blow this lead in the same quarter. They're up 21 at the 7:50 mark of the third.
Donovan Mitchell, bounce pass. Porter attacks the paint, hands off at the last second. Easy two-hand slam for Jared Allen, and a championship close to this third quarter for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
What? What do you mean? Oh, that made it 86-84. They went on. There isn't one eye-popping number. At one point, it was a 14-3.
26-7. That's the number.
26-7 is what it ended up being after it was all said and done. But to the Celtics' credit, did they ever surrender the lead, John?
No, they did not.
They did not. Cleveland got real close, but then to bring it all back around as the Celtics are maintaining and holding on to a 4-point lead.
Rebound Horford, and that's all on Derek White. Horford breaks free from the pack, floats it ahead of Tatum, steps to his right now, attacks baseline, Euro step, kick to the wind, open, Pritchard, 3, got it!
And that was huge. That was a huge play by Al Horford in the mixed end there to get that rebound, come out and, man, knock down a tray ball wide open. Look at that look.
All started in the Celtics zone and with a big rebound from Al Horford. Jason Tatum working the ball up, working inside the paint. The Euro step pass to Peyton Pritchard, who once again showed up in the fourth like he did in the first.
Well, the bench was terrible for the Celtics last night. I mean, it was a short bench, but it was not good.
Well, I thought Pritchard played pretty well. Keita, unfortunately, when he's out there, and you've seen it during regular season games, on the perimeter, he still has a lot of trouble. Teams isolate him. How many times did you see Donovan Mitchell on him dribbling the basketball in the fourth quarter?
Well, during that run that Cleveland had, I mean, the bench, I mean, even if you just look at I heard Cedric Maxwell talking about it, but even if you look at the plus minuses.
Oh, it's brutal.
Yeah,
it's
every one of
Hauser
the
and
starters
Keita,
is plus, and then the Hauser and then the rest are all double-digit minuses. Not a great night for the bench. Not a great night for the bench.
As short as it was. Yeah, Jason Tatum, however, 33 points, 20 from Al Horford last night. Derek White added 19 as the Celtics get the 120-117 win and hand the Cavaliers their first defeat. Cavaliers now 15-1 on the season.
Two things. First of all, Cleveland showed that they're for real. This was a big game.
Who was hurt for
well.
them? They were talking about the injuries on TV.
I don't know. I mean, look, they had their main guys, whomever they were missing. I'm trying to remember who was hurt. Yeah, I can't remember. But you had Mitchell, you had Garland, you had Allen, you had Mobley. That's more than enough. I mean, the Celtics are missing Porzingis. I mean, you can go back and forth on this. Cleveland is for real. They're really good. They could have packed it in when they were down in the third quarter in a game like that. I mean, 15. You're not going to go the rest of the season undefeated. They came back and played well, and Donovan Mitchell, as we all know, is an assassin. That three he hit late in the fourth quarter from about 35 feet out.
Okay, that was absolutely disgusting. But let me tell you what I think of Donovan Mitchell after watching him last night, what I thought of him when I saw him play last year. He's got some conditioning issues. He was really tired, yeah. He was so gassed at the end of that game.
He had to lay down under the basket.
Feigned an injury just to catch his breath and get a little nappy nap.
40 minutes in that game, which is unheard of now in today's NBA. 40 minutes in that game, which goes back to telling you how both coaches approached this game.
I understand that, but Mobley was out there for 38. Did he look like he was getting ready to die?
He did not, and it's good you brought up Evan Mobley because Mobley is already, when he's healthy, an NBA all-defensive player. Offensively, much different than I remember him. He is very good offensively now, too. If he keeps improving like that in a 7-game playoff series, he's going to be a problem. He's going to be a real problem to deal with. Cleveland's not going away. This isn't a fluke. They're 15-1. Last 2 years ago, I think they started 8-1 and faded into the pack. This year's different, and Mobley's a big reason why. You watch. He's going to be really good this year.
We can have fun, though, because they don't shoot nearly as much threes, and then it will be a battle of wills. Strus is out, but he's been out for a long time. LeVert, Dean Wade, and Isaac Okoro.
Dean Wade, part of the quiz yesterday.
He was.
Sam Merrill, who started for Cleveland, part of the quiz yesterday.
Yes. Amani Bates has had knee surgery, so I imagine that he will not be torn meniscus.
You're not going to see him. He was only a two-way player to start.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Amani Bates, the great Amani Bates.
So, big one.
Oh, by the way, someone called in Joe's show afterwards and said, Peyton Pritchard why is he not starting? And then Joe said, well, who are you going to say? And then the guy said, that was it.
Pritchard is most valuable when, as Max said it earlier, if you're going to leave him to double Tatum or Brown or anyone else, and he's open, he's going to knock down a few three-pointers for you. And that one at the end, I got to tell you, those guys, and we talked to him at Media Day too, Wallach, they love playing with him. They feel like for however handful of minutes he's going to be out there, he's going to go under the radar, and he's going to contribute. That's all those guys want from a guy like Pritchard. That's all they need.
For dealing with Pritchard is funny because, and these guys said it to us as well, he has an insane amount of confidence, almost a psychotic level of confidence for a kid who's 6'1", limited physically. I mean, he's not the athlete that some of the other guys are in the league, but he gets the most out of what he brings to the table every night. It's amazing watching him play.
Yeah, his father, that's what happens. So dads out there, that's the way to raise your kid. Pull him out of school.
You want to talk about this for a second?
Homeschool him. Yeah, I mean, Peyton Pritchard's childhood seems absolutely miserable.
Wonderful.
They had other kids move into the house, like other basketball players.
Yeah, that was nice. He had friends to play basketball.
Yeah.
He took him out of middle school to homeschool him so he could practice basketball.
Having middle school's a nightmare.
Yeah,
Good
it's not necessary for socialization. And then
right. I agree.
And he would dribble until his hands bled. He would have his son dribble till his hands bled.
Take a look, and the videos are easily accessible online. Take a look at the dribbling drills he was doing when he was 14, 13, 12. And you said there was one thing. If he was not able to play basketball, I don't know what he would have done. Peyton Pritchard had a sole focus from the time he was like 8. And good for him. He's a millionaire. He got himself an NBA contract. No, he just signed a big 4-year extension.
I didn't say he doesn't make money, John. I just said I don't know if the trade-off is worth that.
Hold on. I'll settle this right.
I didn't dispute how much money he's making.
No. Is Peyton Pritchard happy?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Based on recent reports, he appears to be quite happy with his current situation. So,
well, AI is the tiebreaker. So there you go.
Is Peyton Pritchard a well-adjusted individual? Oh, okay. Well, this goes a little deeper.
Did he have a lot of money? I mean, which guy that has a lot of money do you want me to go to? Did Vince McMahon have a lot of money? Does Vince McMahon have a lot of money? I mean, there's Do we want to go through how money solves all your childhood issues? Look at Vince McMahon's childhood. I'm not comparing Pritchard's to Vince McMahon's. Vince McMahon's way
McMahon's
worse.
not good. No.
Way worse. But I mean, your childhood can stick with you.
Hey,
the
careful
money
what you
doesn't
say.
buy that away.
Careful what you say about the boss.
Yeah. Oh, Triple H. It's all yours now, baby.
Jay Stu, you just stay in the corral. We got
We got a big game coming up with Jay Stu at 8 o'clock.
Oh, we got something with you later, buddy.
And Hardy had to make a deal with the devil to get it done.
I'm so happy.
I
missed out on the second half of that.
It was not a tit for tat. It was just more along the lines of that's fair and that's the right thing to do.
It was a
No,
friendly
it wasn't. It
suggestion.
wasn't a tit for tat at all. It was actually, I think, it was coming from a very good place of respect that Jimmy Stewart was doing it. But we asked Jimmy Stewart to record these things for us, and Jimmy in turn asked if Hardy would do a Fuppets, which are the Felger and Maz puppets that I believe Hardy had thought he had put away forever. But Ryan Beaton's going to get a new job, and so he's having a crash course.
He's gonna be the key grip.
Yeah, he's the apprentice of the Fuppets, and
right.
there's going to be 1 day of apprenticeship, and then he is going to take over that Fuppet.
Oh, he is. Then you'll just take over, Ryan. Congratulations.
Yeah.
No, I think it was. I'm not putting down James in any way, shape, or form. I think that I didn't say it was tit for tat. I said that he was saying, like, look, hey, now while I got you, I think there's something that would be a very Fuppets thing, which I think is nice more than anything.
Yeah. Well,
is
when
that
do
he
you
really
pull
likes
those?
it.
When do you pull out those bad boys again? Is it going to be soon, or is it like in the next few days?
Let's just say, take your time getting here tomorrow morning. We got some stuff to do here in the studio.
Huh.
Okay.
Yeah, John's gonna be like, he'll be fit to be tied. He can't get on that computer to write out his headlines.
I know. But
Jesus,
we're gonna be working in here tomorrow morning.
Okay.
All right.
You mentioned the call into Joe Murray's show last night.
Yeah.
Pritchard needs to get more minutes off the bench. He got 26 minutes tonight. He only scored 13 points. I think he's the secret to the Celtics' success, and if he doesn't perform tonight, I don't know if they pull off the W. What do you think?
Who would you bench then for minutes?
It's a tough call. I don't know. Maybe Derek White if he's cold.
The guy who got hot tonight with 19 points, and they're arguably their best defender.
What do you think?
I gotta let you go.
Derek White played 42 minutes last night. Derek White was on the U.S. Olympic team.
Yeah.
I don't think Derek White's going to sit for Peyton Pritchard.
Derek White and Drew Holiday were second-team all-defensive players last year.
You get a hustly white guy out there, man.
Yeah.
People fall in line.
I mean, take a look at the Celtics' history.
Oh, yeah. And what's odd is... Go ahead.
What you think?
Yeah.
What do you think? I don't know. He's the secret sauce. More so than Drew Holiday, who is literally the one component you need to win any kind of huge title. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to sit him down.
Yeah,
I don't think I'm going to sit Derek White down.
Every town has got its hustly white guy. It's not a Boston thing. Like, every town's got its hustly white guy.
Again, though, Fred, in the moment last night, I'm not saying that he was the key to winning that game, but that sequence of plays that starts with Derek White, Al Horford with the rebound, Tatum working the ball, working inside, finding any open guy. That open guy happened to be Pritchard last night, who knocked down the three to make it 107-100. The game wasn't over at that point, but it felt like, okay, they can win this as long as they don't screw up.
Horford turned back the clock last night, too.
Oh.
Cleveland.
Grandy compared him to Tom Brady last night, if you want to know how much he turned back the clock. Yes, he was comparing him to Tom Brady. I got an email, and it is true. Yeah. I would like Peyton Pritchard to get traded to Washington. I would like him to be the starting point guard for Washington, and I would like to watch a game.
Well, they already tried that. The guy's name is Jordan Poole. Same thing.
Yeah, let's
disappeared from a good team, traded to Washington.
And
oddly not good.
I got nothing bad to say about Peyton Pritchard, but I've been down this road before. Peyton Pritchard's the greatest thing ever. Okay. You put him on a bad team and have him start and see how many games that team wins. Peyton Pritchard's a good story, and he worked very hard to get where he is. He's not a top-line NBA player in any way, shape, or form.
He's going to be the NBA's sixth man of the year this year.
No, he won't.
Sure he will.
He will not be. He will not be. Imani Bates will be. All right, very good. When we come back, bad news out of the Bruins. I guess not surprising, but I don't like I didn't like to hear it. We will have that for you coming right up.
Sports Hub headlines.
Jason Tatum had 33 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists, and the Celtics held off Cleveland at TD Garden last night, 120-117. That's the first loss of the season for Cleveland. They're 15-1. Celtics will visit the White House tomorrow. They'll play the Washington Wizards in D.C. on Friday night. Bruins have a new head coach. They fired Jim Montgomery yesterday. Assistant coach Joe Sacco has been promoted on an interim basis to replace him. The team's next game is tomorrow night at home against Utah. Patriots will be back at practice this afternoon. They visit Miami on Sunday. And Nick Pivetta yesterday declined the Red Sox qualifying offer and will test free agency. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Best Ford. Looking for great deals on a new Ford? Go to the Best First. Best Ford in Nashua. Head to bestfordofnashua.com. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7 o'clock.
More Toucher and Hardy on the way. Boston Sports. Boston Sports. And it is all we do. 98.5, the Sports Hub. Hey, listen, if you've got to go, we understand, but make sure you bring the Sports Hub app with you so you can hear more of Tudger and Hardy.
That's what I want on my tombstone.
On the Sports Hub.
I know from talking to enough teammates, people that have played there, that are playing whatever, working there, for whatever reason, they've become unbuttoned. For them to take this next step, yes, this is their responsibility for Montgomery? Sure. Does it fall to him alone? No. Is some of this on the players? Yes. Is some of this on the organization as well? Yes. Depending on how you want to parcel it out, but there's collective kind of accountability here. The Boston Bruins, for me, today now, have the opportunity to press reset.
Hey, we're Tudger and Hardy. That's weeks from the NHL Network on the firing of Jim Montgomery. Jim Montgomery was fired. He had been the coach for 2+ seasons, 65-12 his first season, but they lost in the second round. Then he 109 points last season, and they went to a Game 6 with the Stanley Cup champions. But this year they did not have a good beginning to the season. And there's a few things about this that are not good. Look, they fire Montgomery and everything works out. That's great. If they don't, oh boy. This was my fear of signing Swayman to this deal. Swayman has been a below-average goaltender this year. Is it because he didn't have the training camp? I don't know. I hope. There seems to be some discord around that contract and everything. I didn't like that when it was happening. Remember, we proposed to many guests, is it worth investing this much in the goaltender position? You know, a lot of teams that win cups don't have a goaltender making this much money. Swayman's pretty young. He's never been a full-time goaltender. It was very, it made me very nervous. So you used what you had. You fired Montgomery. You made the assistant coach. And, Montgomery, they did not extend him. They left him as a lame duck. So you did this. And now if it doesn't work, oh, boy. Oh, boy, because you can't wiggle out of what you're in. McAvoy's underperforming. Pasternak's underperforming. Swayman's way underperforming. Lindholm, who you signed, is underperforming. And those guys aren't going anywhere. So you are if this doesn't turn around, this is the first time that I believe that if this doesn't turn around, you've avoided it for this long, that you're going to start becoming a bad team and having to completely rebuild, which is going to be very difficult because you're locked up in these huge long contracts.
You will. I think there's enough talent to keep them from sinking to a really bad record. I mean, assuming that everyone plays up to their capabilities, and maybe this is one of those seasons where they don't.
Well, yeah.
The Lindholm contract, obviously a big mistake, but McAvoy is much better than this, and so is Pasternak. So Swayman.
Well, we don't know that. You don't know how getting the contract, he's 25 years old, getting the contract, having the responsibility, these are all things we didn't know. And so we don't know if Swayman's good. I'm with you on Pasternak. I'm not positive McAvoy is a elite defenseman, like an elite defenseman.
Now, obviously, he hasn't been in the Norris Trophy running, but at the same time, I think he's in the next 5 defensemen outside of that.
Oh, no.
I think when he's at his best, he is.
When has he been in the – but I'm not challenging you. I'm asking when has that been?
A couple of years ago.
Okay.
He was being talked about as a possible Norris Trophy candidate.
Yeah, that's a long time, though, with that deal.
But I just think there's too much talent on this team for them to sink to the bottom.
Well, you just lost to Columbus and got your coach fired.
I know that. I'm just the comparison that obviously comes to mind is when Claude Julien got fired, and that was much further into the season. That was like 50 or 60 games in. Bruce Cassidy, who had been an assistant coach, a Providence Bruins head coach, and his last head coaching job did not work very, very well.
Uh-huh.
He had gone 10 years between, came in. I think he was 18-8 the rest of the season, and it turned out okay for the Bruins.
Well, who was on that team?
That team was better than this team.
No, you had Bergeron, Krejci, Rask. You had the Stanley Cup team, basically. Now you just have Marchand left over from that and a bunch of guys and a goaltender that you've just committed a huge amount of money and time to, one of the highest paid goaltenders of all time, to a 25-year-old kid that's never been a starting goaltender. Now, listen, a full-time starting goaltender. Now, this all could very much work out, but it's very early in the season, as you said, to fire Montgomery, and now you fired him, and you better start winning, because if you don't, then if I'm Jacobs, I'm firing everybody. Because at that point, I mean, if I'm Neely and Sweeney, I got to think, certainly Sweeney, if this doesn't work, all right, you used it, you fired the coach, great. And then I'm going to fire Sweeney.
Yeah, what this does, obviously, this is the last, we were talking about this yesterday. The Bruins had one more move to make to try and jumpstart the team, and it was this. They've tried everything else. So if this doesn't work, this leaves Don Sweeney majorly exposed. I don't care what kind of contract he signed a year or two ago.
Right.
I would agree. If this doesn't work, it's the players, not the coach, and therefore the GM will take the brunt of the criticism.
Player-wise, though, I think they look at the roster and they say, well, compared to last year when we scored all these points, how are we worse? How are we this much worse? Now, to your point, Fred, it's early on in the season and difficult to really say, oh, this team is 100% absolutely worse than they were last year. They're not playing as tough. And when you suffer a loss like you did against St. Louis the other night, talk about, a knee-jerk reaction, to Columbus the other night. But that's a bad team. And when they score two shorthanded goals on you, that puts everything under the microscope.
I understand why they fired him.
Okay, well, let me finish. If you're going to look at this and say, what's different? What is not working? We've got essentially the same guys. We should have, you could argue, even more talent on the team this year. Why are they not performing? Why are we getting beat by bad teams? They're not playing hard. They're standing around watching the puck. The special teams are awful. Okay, coaching. It's got to be the coaching.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I understand that, and I'm not arguing that. The point I'm making is that it also players playing, and if they don't play, then you're in a big trouble because you're stuck with these players and they're not going anywhere. And you're never getting rid of Swayman. You're never ever getting rid of Swayman.
Nope.
You're stuck with him. If Swayman sucks, you're stuck. There's no dumping him. There's no trading him. There's nothing. I mean, you could trade Pasternak, you could trade McAvoy. I mean, you won't get anything. I mean, you'll get less than their value, most likely. But you're stuck with Swayman. That deal's not going anywhere. When you made that commitment to Swayman, it's over. And that's my only concern is that you pulled the trigger in November, and now if this – because, by the way, when I moved here in 2006, you could get season tickets right next to the bench. There was no one going to games.
Real quick, I'm wondering what happened in 24 hours. We were also talking yesterday about how the media was alerted. Jim Montgomery will meet the team. We're not going to have practice Tuesday, but we will on Wednesday, and Jim Montgomery will be available to meet the media on Wednesday.
That's just somebody in PR not getting the message.
I don't know. I don't know if it is or it isn't, but it's interesting that they send that email out. And then less than 24 hours later, he's gone.
Well, they probably had a meeting after they sent it out and decided to fire him. Brian, go ahead.
Well, guy, I think there's another element to this firing and the fact that Montgomery lost that series of Florida a couple of years ago when we were stacked. I just don't think he ever really rebounded in the eyes of management. And they didn't extend him. He was a lame duck coach. And I just think they weren't going to extend him into next year or resign him. So, this was just getting ahead of that to try and jumpstart the team. Despite his record as a coach, I just think that loss to Florida was just so damning in the eyes of management and ownership.
Yeah, and maybe justifiably so, but I don't know why you wouldn't have fired him in the offseason and started with a new coach. Why would you let a lame duck coach into this year? That's the things I don't understand. I don't understand letting a lame duck, if you don't have enough faith in the guy to extend him, why would you let him coach? You're just setting him up to be fired. So I guess here's the deal. So say Montgomery has the same season as last season in the regular season, and they lose in the first round of the playoffs. Then you fire him?
Right.
I mean,
it only makes sense when it's a coach like Missoula. You know, like in his first year, it's like, hey, we need you to do this, and even so, they extended him 6 months into having the job as head coach.
Oh yeah, when you first get the job, certainly. But if you're like a veteran, if you're running, your contract is running out, and they're not extending you, then they're just putting you in a position to be fired. It happens all the time in sports, and it just happened yesterday.
Looking back on it, it's easy.
To two teams, this team and another. Go ahead.
It's easy to see. I mean, despite how well they played 2 seasons ago, there was that first-round knockout, and coming to the end of last season, they weren't all that enamored with him, but he won a playoff series and got deeper, and that's what saved him. It's an obvious thing to look and say, if they lose, if Pasternak doesn't score in Game 7, they lose, he gets fired. It's very easy to look back and say that's absolutely what would have happened, but he went further in the playoffs last year than he did in year 1, and that kind of forced Sweeney to keep him around.
Yeah, but he didn't keep him around. He didn't extend him, which is, again...
Well, that's a very, very wishy-washy way of looking at it, but that's clearly the way Sweeney was thinking. Okay, we'll keep him around even though we don't want
But it never works.
I know that.
Isn't it ridiculous looking back on it now that he didn't get the extension after last year, because that team on paper had no business being as good or going deeper in the playoffs than the previous year's team.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. I think Montgomery's a good coach, and I understand why he was fired, and there's guys with way worse records that have jobs, and there's guys who have way more talent on their teams, but he won the Jack Adams Award 2 seasons ago, but that never means anything. But I just look, if it doesn't work, then there's trouble. I don't want 2006 again. Maybe with this station on the air, that won't happen. But
well, Fred, you and I were both here on BCN. You talk about being able to get tickets, right on the glass. There were nights giving away tickets where caller 10 to win Bruins tickets right now. Whoever was caller 3 would also be caller 6, and then caller 9, and sometimes caller 10 too.
I had season tickets, half-season tickets. The first year I was here, I said, I'll sell half of them, and I'll make my money back. So I tried to sell them. No. Tried to sell them for face value. No. Tried to sell them for less than face value. No.
That's right. Uncle Dave was the head coach back then.
I made a list of games that I couldn't go to and put it on the door at WBCN and said, whoever wants tickets, just put your name, and I'll give you tickets to that game. And there were maybe one game got claimed. People just yeah, it was. People just didn't want to go. I literally couldn't give away tickets to the Bruins. They were next to the bench. One of the seats was the plexiglass was right next to the plexiglass. You were as close as you could possibly be to the Bruins bench.
It's the best seats I've ever had at a sporting event.
Yeah, and I bought them, and I was like, I should have known something was going on. Boy, did I lose my ass on those.
You were immediately so mad. Like, I remember the day. I remember you coming in the day after and talking about on the radio and how bummed out you were that you spent all that money on those tickets.
Yeah, because I thought it was an Original Six franchise, that there was no way. Like in Detroit, whatever, you could at least sell the tickets.
Oh, it is an Original Six. I have a jacket that has all the Original Six logos on it.
Sure.
I know. I'm glad I remembered without that visual reference.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. When we come back, we're going to move off the Montgomery thing for a little while, but Ty Anderson's going to be in studio next hour, and then Billy Jaffe will be in studio at 9 o'clock. But we're going to take a little detour in just a moment.
opening kickoff to the final play.
Touchdown!
Your home of the pass. 98.5. The Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines.
The undefeated run of the Cleveland Cavaliers is now over after the Celtics beat them at TD Garden last night, 120-117. Celtics almost let a 21-point third-quarter lead get away, but Jason Tatum had 33 points to push his team to the win, and he saw Al Horford add 20.
I think Al is just a calming presence out there. He just does so many different things for us. Sometimes they still show up in the stat sheet, and sometimes they don't. But just him being on the court with us helps with our spacing, helps with our defense. He's such a good passer, willing passer. So we're just a much better team when Al is out there and being aggressive.
The loss drops Cleveland to 15-1. Donovan Mitchell, 35 points for the visitors in the loss. The Celtics visit the White House tomorrow, and then the Washington Wizards on Friday night. The Bruins yesterday fired head coach Jim Montgomery after posting a sub-500 record through the first 20 games of the season. Current Bruins assistant and former Colorado Avalanche head coach Joe Sacco is his replacement on an interim basis. The Bruins host a Utah Hockey Club tomorrow night. Patriots will be back at practice today. They visit Miami Sunday. Nick Pivetta yesterday declined the Red Sox qualifying offer and will head to free agency. And Cleveland's Stephen Vogt and Milwaukee's Pat Murphy were voted Major League Baseball's American and National League Managers of the Year yesterday. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the new fall flavors at the 99, like the freshly baked homestyle chicken pot pie packed with chicken and topped with a buttery, flaky crust. You gotta love the nines. I'm John Wallach of Boston Toll for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
Boston plays here.
Pritchard, half court, it's in the air. He got it! He did it again!
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Is elongating.
Weekday morning.
Here goes Hardy.
Toucher and Hardy.
I no longer love things.
Let's go. Let's ride.
98.5.
Like, let's roll the dice.
The Sports Hub.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch us on YouTube. Search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. By the way, the Bruins had 2 of the last 5 Jack Adams Awards winners, and they're both fired. And one of the guys they fired won the Stanley Cup the year after he left.
One was too mean, one was too nice.
Jesus Christ.
So now what? Where do you go now?
Look, I like the Bruins a lot. I don't. What is this, like Joe Satriani?
No, it's Prince. I figured some instrumental Prince because it's an artist the three of you enjoy, and we're about to play a bunch of artists that you probably won't.
Oh, okay, very good.
Yeah. What album is this off of?
Take your pick.
B-side.
Oh.
Yeah, baby. Dan, go ahead.
Thank you, Fred, for paying attention. I don't know if it's his hollow bones or that bird brain of his, but for him to sit there and go, I don't get it. They said his media availability would be Wednesday. Then they fire him? How could this be a conspiracy? Dude, the guy firing him is not sending out press notes.
Yeah, John.
What are you talking about? Come on, dude.
My God, what a terrible mistake. 1,000 lashes for me.
I think John's just
terrible.
He just said he loved
Awful.
you. He just said he loved you, and you talked over it.
Oh.
Yeah, you're missing out on compliments because you're babbling. You're yelling into the microphone.
Bones?
Apparently.
That's what birds have, hollow bones.
Oh.
Don't challenge Dan from Newton.
No, I'm asking John about his bones.
He doesn't know.
He's got a hollowed out section of his skull where the juicy tumor was.
Yeah, that's gone. Both the bones and the tumor gone.
I'll get emails and they're like, all you guys talk about is poo and tumors. And I'll be like, okay.
Do you have a soft spot on your skull like a baby?
No, I do not.
You should look at that scar, though. It's
hollowed
impressive.
out, but the skull, the edge of the skull is still the same.
This is actually a real question. How did they get it so your hair grows out of there? Like I'm being serious, because you had a huge like incision.
Yeah, it was a scar in the back of the skull.
Yeah.
If you look, there's still, you can still kind of see.
Yeah,
where
they did a really good job.
Yes.
Of sealing that up because.
I'll show it to you later, Hardy. I have the hat on right
today.
now.
You should see the picture of after he had the surgery. It's gnarly. Like he had they cut open his skull.
I'll show it to you after the break. You'll love it.
That's why the next time you talk about it, you're going to feel real bad because you can tell they lobotomized.
No, you're talking with the wrong guy. Like he has no soul.
You know what we should do?
McMurphy's stumbling back onto the ward.
Yeah. Tomorrow, here's the deal. Let John give a picture of after you had the surgery. I've seen the picture. Give it to Adam.
Yeah.
And then have Adam find a picture of a scar after a lobotomy. And then you're going to have to pick which one is which. That'll be a good radio bit. That'll be great for the radio.
Did you get to see the tumor?
They offered me the opportunity to, and I said no.
Some people keep it in an acrylic case.
Right before they put you out, before surgery, I'm lying there in the hospital again. There's a guy who comes in and has you sign a waiver. Look, we'd like the tumor would you like to keep it? If not, we'd like to use it for research. I said,
it's not a tumor.
Fine, take it. I'm good with it.
Well, it was. So you're wrong, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think that I don't. Why would you want to keep it?
I don't know.
I suppose that they have to ask you because it is coming out of your body.
Yeah.
All right. Did you hear that they'd taken a testicle from a guy and gave it to his twin brother? They gave him the testicle.
No.
I heard that yesterday. I was listening to something. All right. Very good. All right. We're having Ty Anderson in studio coming up to talk about Jim Montgomery. But first, there was a list. You know how much we love lists. And we also love how absent we are from popular culture. Adam, what is the list that we have?
This was found by Nicholas. It's the 100 best hit songs of the century so far, and it comes courtesy of the music website Uprocks. The disclaimer is to qualify for the list, the song had to have reached the top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100. Best hit singles of the last 25 years.
Okay. So there is a quantifiable definition as well as a critical definition.
Yes, there is both of those things. So I went through and I've isolated a few songs toward the top of the list because I figure those are the ones that everybody should know best, right? And I want to see how many of these songs you guys can name.
Okay.
So
of the century, the top songs of the century.
of the last 25 years.
I'll keep an unofficial tally here.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Put a 0 right next to my name right now.
All right, here we go. Is that Ariana Grande?
No, it's not. It's an artist who's really come into their own over the last year.
It sucks
It's
bad.
a newer song.
Did they host Saturday Night Live?
They did. They were the musical guests on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, that's it's a white woman.
Yes.
So it's not Dua Lipa.
Yes.
No.
My daughter is obsessed with the yeah.
Is she really?
Maps. Yeah,
That's a
she's
great song.
obsessed.
I do like
Great
Maps.
band too.
Well, you look just like the guitar player.
I know. Drummer.
12, is that the show that I
drummer.
went to that I was all pissed off about afterward?
I think so.
The one,
Yeah.
the MGM Music Hall?
Yes, it was actually recently, like over the last year, right?
They have a drummer, a guitarist, and a lead singer.
Yeah,
That's
it's techno for betas is what that music
But
is.
that is not Yeah. That is an artist called Chapel Roan.
I
saw her live.
I saw her live, too.
Yes, I saw her live.
live.
I saw her live at Boston Calling Music Festival.
No, I saw her live she opened for Olivia Rodrigo. You didn't play the hit. You didn't play the
top 100 song of
Uprocks,
the last 25
that is the hit at
years.
number 31.
Yeah.
on the
That's
top
over
100.
the other Chapel Roan song. All right, very good.
Fred, you and I should both get double wrongs for that. We saw that artist.
Saw the artist
I
live
wasn't
and still
paying any
didn't get it.
attention. Olivia, there are songs by Olivia Rodrigo that my daughter plays that I actually like.
Okay.
She's obviously influenced by who? Alkaline Trio. And that is not a lie.
No,
Go ahead.
I hear that. Okay, so this was one. We're going to get into the top 25 here. This is one that when I saw on the list, I'm like, what's this? And then when I found it, I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of remember this one. You might get this one, Fred. There's a lot of this stuff on here. I think that Fred's going to have an itch.
Oh. I want to guess. I have a guess.
What's the guess?
Go.
Is this Designer?
No, but you're in the right kind of world there.
Is he saying Molly and Percocets?
He's saying Molly Percocet.
Why would you take Molly with Percocets?
Because
why would you edge off the high of the Molly with a Percocet?
Oh,
this gentleman wants to indulge in all of it.
Why fly a kite when you can just pop a pill? Sometimes you're just doing things, Fred.
It's like, I'm gonna buy this ecstasy, I'm gonna take it, and then I'm gonna take a bunch of opiates to like take the edge.
Early on in my drinking and drug days, I wouldn't understand why somebody would both drink and do cocaine, but then it became very, very obvious.
Well,
to
you
me.
do cocaine so you can drink more. I mean, a lot of people do that. And by the way, Percocets don't do anything to me. Is that a Boogie with the Hoodie?
It is not. It is
okay. Well, give me one more
okay,
guess.
all right, go ahead.
That's not Travis Scott. That's not Tyler the Creator.
No, you're in the right world. Though.
I know it's something my kids
Future.
listen to.
Mask
yeah,
Off
yeah, all
by
right,
Future,
okay.
which again, like that's the hit, but like every SoundCloud rapper took that beat and rapped over.
Yeah,
it.
because the thing is that I don't like that. I don't understand how people do,
Same.
but that I believe is just an age thing, and I'm not going to judge it.
Is that part of like there was an Atlanta like mumble rap movement? And I think
there'll be more of that.
Designer,
Sweet, I can't wait for mumble rap.
Except for Tyler the Creator.
Thank you, 12.
Big tease.
Except for Tyler the Creator, everything sounds like mumble rap. All right, go ahead.
I did love that Panda song though.
This is not mumble.
Oh, that's Taylor Swift.
Incorrect.
Oh. This is a huge song.
Yes.
I've never heard this song before.
Oh, this is huge.
I've never heard it either. There was a nice trend in pop music in the 2000s where artists that had a pop sound but weren't necessarily like pop stars ended up having big hits. And that's
Is that the lady?
this artist.
The lady with the songwriter that doesn't show her face?
No, that's Sia you're thinking of. but
Okay,
it's
there was
not
the
Sia.
South Park where Sia was Kyle's dad.
That is the artist Lorde. Her first big single was
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Team.
yeah, yeah.
Or maybe Royals was the first
Yeah,
single.
Royals was
the first single.
Yeah.
And
But
by the way,
Team
it
is
was
on this
Stan's
list
dad.
at 13.
Stan's
Yes.
dad was actually was Sia or whatever the hell the thing is.
Can we get into the
Seika.
top 10?
You know Johnny Seika?
Yes, I do.
She banged a lot of DJs.
Yes, I do.
She would come in for a book tour. She'd have sex with you.
Really?
Not me. Go ahead.
All right, this is we're now into the top 10 of this Up Rock's top 100 songs of the century so far.
Nice.
See if you guys know this one.
They not like us.
Yeah, well, I know
They
that.
not like
Kendrick
us.
Lamar.
They
There we
not
go.
like
Oh,
us.
you got one. All right.
They're not like us. That was the song of the summer. I would
have gotten that one.
Kendrick Lamar is
Good for you.
actually a good rapper. All
Yes,
right, go ahead.
agreed. Okay, so again, that's one that I expected to be in the top 10. This
Yeah.
is one that I don't know that I'd ever heard.
This is everything my daughter listens to. My son. This is my son made the announcement. I've told you guys that he does not like quote unquote rock and roll.
Right.
Yeah.
This is all he listens to.
One of my kids too. Same thing.
Oh, God, I don't like.
He's a big fan of the
I
Future,
know
too.
this song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody
Oh,
knows this
Jesus
song.
Christ.
Young Thug.
No.
T-Pain?
No, T-Pain.
Lil Uzi.
Oh, John Wallach,
Yeah.
Lil Uzi Vert,
Good for you.
EXO Tour Life.
Yeah, you got enough out.
I mean, it might as well be Lil
Grabbing at
Baby or
straws.
anyone else. It's all the same.
That's what's
stuff.
called
Do you
blind luck,
think-
Edwin.
Like, I can understand, like, my parents in the car if I played, like, hardcore punk going, like, this is all the same crap.
Sure.
So I get it.
But even stay with rap, Fred, like the rap that you and I got into, like the golden era stuff, even if you like subcategorize it as like gangster rap, right? Like if you listen to gangster rap, at least there was some difference in sound between East Coast and West Coast gangster rap
But-
in the late 80s and early 90s.
Okay.
All this mumble rap, it doesn't matter what area of the country it's from. They all use the same production. They all use the same beats. It all
Okay.
sounds the same.
But if I put on LL Cool J or Cool Mo D, this is from when we were little, but LL Cool J,
Bridge.
Cool Mo D, I think if you had never heard rap before, you would be like, it all sounds the same.
Yes.
That's
like, there's
fair.
some of it that sounds the same.
That's fair. Some of it does.
But then Run DMC sounded a lot different than the Beastie Boys, and those
True.
were my two, Raising Hell and License to Ill were my two favorite albums when I was a little kid. God.
Okay, let's. I've got two more, and this one
like
is
this.
number 4 on the top 100 songs of the century so far from Up Rocks.
This has got to be old. This is from
It's
what
from
year?
2008.
Yeah. This is
from SNL. That's
Sorry,
not
no,
a real
this is
song.
from 2008. Yeah.
This is before my kids were around.
Yeah.
Yeah, this sounds old. I don't know.
It's,
wait.
You want to guess?
2008. Triple Extension.
Oh, XXX Extension? No, not him.
I don't know.
Came along a little later. That is a Millie by Lil Wayne from the Carter Three.
How come I couldn't hear it under? Yeah. All right, I've heard
Again,
that.
like I don't know about that at number 4, but this list is so it's funny. Like the top, I'll give you the top 10. I'll play you one more, and then I'll give you the top 10.
Little Wayne
but-
very upset he's not doing the Super Bowl in New Orleans, and there was a great deal of consternation that Kendrick Lamar is doing it and not him.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll bring him up. That would be nice of him.
I couldn't give you the number 1 song because it was too obvious, but the number 2 song, you might get, but I don't I mean, I guess I understand why this is number 2, but whatever.
Bonnie Wright. Is that Miley Cyrus?
No.
Well, that's Kanye West.
It is. You got that.
Right.
You got it. It's Kanye. It all falls down.
Oh. All right.
Selena Johnson from the College Dropout. So that's 2004.
That's from College Dropout.
Yeah. I think that's the one with the bear.
Yeah,
head
with
on the cover, right?
Is
that
well,
College Dropout?
College Dropout's him in the bear suit.
Yeah, that's the one.
You're
I'm not
certain
a Kanye
that we
guy,
would
so-
get number 1, that it's just way too easy, that we would all 3 of us get it?
Yes, I'm like I mean,
Is it
look,
Shake It Off or something?
No, it's single.
don't.
No, it's Single Ladies by Beyonce.
Yeah, I
I'm not
would've
going to
gotten
waste
that.
the time pulling the clip.
I
You
would've
guys would
gotten
all
that.
get
All
that.
right.
So that was number 1. Kanye's All Falls Down, number 2. Taylor Swift, All Too Well. Taylor's version from 2021. Very
I don't know
important
that
distinction
song.
there. Lil Wayne's A Milli was 4. Britney Spears' Toxic, 5. You heard Lil Uzi Vert, EXO Tour Life at 6. 7 was Mr. Brightside from The Killers, because you got to have a rock song somewhere in the top 10. Eminem's Lose Yourself at number 8.
We never would have gotten that.
Usher's at number 9.
I never would have gotten that.
You would have. And then
I'm just
Kendrick
kidding.
Lamar's Not Like Us was number 10.
Yeah. All right. Well, you made good decisions because I
Thank
would have
you.
gotten the other ones right.
I think this is the first bit that first game or bit that I put together that Fred hasn't slagged me for, so I'll take a win on that.
All right, so here are the final results. Wallach got Lil Woozy.
Which is the most impressive.
Little Uzi.
Little Uzi.
Yeah, you got Lil Uzi. That was
Okay,
impressive.
so he got 1 point. Fred got both that last one and Kendrick Lamar, but take 1 point away for not knowing Chapel Roan because you were at the show.
Fair enough.
So you tie with Wallach. I also was at a Chapel Roan show, did not get it, so I finished with -1.
And
How
I
about
also
that?
should get points taken away for not knowing the 2008 song because Lil Wayne is my age.
Yeah.
And I actually read his book about being in prison. I should have known the Lil Wayne.
And Fred wears the same grills that Lil Wayne does, too.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're the
Take
same
a-
height. We watch SportsCenter 24 hours a day and drink codeine all day, too.
There you go.
We both do. All right.
Scissor.
Yeah, he calls his what do you call it when you Suboxone, not Suboxone, but the other thing that you take for heroin.
Yeah, the methadone.
Methadone. He calls he calls it coffee. Like when he's in jail, he needs his methadone.
Yeah.
But he's like, I need to get my coffee. I need to find my coffee.
And he gets out and he's sipping on that lean.
Chapel
Almost constantly.
Chapel Roan, not her real name. I'm finding out all kinds of things.
Yeah, not what she really looks like too. Hachi Machi. You take that makeup off, that ain't so great. All right, but Olivia Rodrigo was a sensation.
Yeah, it was a hell of a show.
Absolutely. All right, Ty Anderson is here. Jim
Yes.
Montgomery has been fired, unfortunately, and we will talk to him in just a moment.
You're listening to
please.
the Sports Hub.
The roster is the roster. We'll talk more about that later, I'm sure. But like, they weren't responding. It was getting worse, and it felt like, okay, you had some stretches there or some games where you thought, okay, now that's a turning point, and then the losses were getting worse.
Now Adam's just trying. Do you know what this is, Ty?
Oh, he told me.
Is this like at the drive-in?
Oh, he said he wanted to do it at the drive-in. Oh, it is?
I want to do, yes, this is at the drive-in.
Yeah, okay. I knew that.
Ty and I have a lot of musical taste that
I like at the
that,
drive-in. I knew it was at the drive-in. I knew it was at the drive-in. Did I know it was at the drive-in? The answer is yes.
One Arm Scissor, top 6 worst single to hit alternative radio.
I love that song. I loved that song. It was so much different than everything we were playing. It was such anything to cleanse the Chevelle palate.
Yes, Chevelle.
Anything.
Wow.
Send the pain below.
Much like suffocating.
Yeah, you can actually sing that. It has hooks.
Yeah, but anything that sounded any different.
One Arm Scissor has a hook. Send transmission from the One Arm Scissor. Get away, get away. That's a hook. You might not like it, but it's a hook.
I mean, it's not really hooky, but it's a chorus. Ty Anderson is the host of the hockey show Saturday mornings from 9 to 11. He covers the Bruins for the Sports Hub, 98.5 thesportshub.com. He joins us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline or in studio. You don't have to say it while they're in studio. But nonetheless, I just read whatever's in front of me. Hello, Ty.
Good morning.
All right, Jim Montgomery obviously fired yesterday. The Bruins have now fired. I just looked. It was interesting. They fired 2 of the last 5 Jack Adams Award winners. And so that is an award you apparently don't want to win, is best coach during the regular season, because then expectations get very high. All right, so were you surprised by this? Obviously not. When do you think the decision was made?
I think it was made when the season started, that this was going to happen at some point. There was no reason to feel confident that they would re-sign him or sign him to an extension, given the way the year had gone, given the way that he entered camp without an extension, and the fact that they kept all of the questions and answers about his status extremely surface level, like uncomfortably surface level, where we asked about it, and Sweeney said, yeah, we've had a conversation. It's like, oh, okay, you talked to the head coach. That's good to know. It was going to happen, and the way they started, they have never been more than a game over 500 at any point this year. Now they're dipping under 500, and I think internally the Bruins looked at this current segment they're in as a chance to get back to their form that they thought they would be. You sort of look at that St. Louis game. St. Louis comes to town. They've lost 7 of 10. They're missing half their defense. And you lose. You blow it. You blow a lead. You lose in overtime. You should wipe the floor with that team. I don't care what your situation is. Then Monday, the worst team in the Metro comes to town, and you lose in even uglier, worse fashion. Yeah. I didn't see him surviving Monday. After that, I went, yeah, that's it. There's no way you can survive that. I'm sorry, you can't do it. It's too bad of a loss and a bad spot for them.
Is it just talent tuning him out, or is it a lack of talent on the roster?
I mean, it's probably both. I mean, can you name more than 4 guys that are pulling their weight right now on this roster?
No, you cannot.
It's Korpisalo, Kastelik, Cole Koepke, who's gone cold, 1 point in his last 10 games.
Just got demoted, right?
Yeah, Hampus Lindholm. That's it. Those are the only guys that have played well this year.
And Lindholm's not playing.
Exactly. And that was a major loss for I would say his status, because he was the only guy who I think was listening to the coaching. Yeah, we need more points from the back end. We need more offense from the back end. Every game he was making something happen. Charlie McAvoy, 7 points on the year. He's been held without a point in 15 of 20 games overall.
Yeah, he's playing bad. He's been bad. Bad offensively, certainly. All right, so Ty, we talk about the lack of talent. We talk about the message not getting through. What I would be concerned about is if this doesn't work. Now, you're younger than me, but when I moved here in 2006, when I say I couldn't give away tickets, I literally couldn't give away tickets. I just couldn't. I had a sign-up sheet, and people would not sign up for them.
Are we headed for the Dave Lewis era?
I mean, that's not even 20 years ago.
I know.
I mean, if this doesn't work, there's no more coaches to fire. I mean, they don't have to keep this guy, but there's no more coaches to fire. Then they're going to fire Sweeney, and then they're locked in. Let's talk about this first of all. Are you worried about the Swayman contract?
No.
Okay.
No, no, because I think that right now we have an ugly 14-game sample, but we have a 130-game sample where he's been a pretty good goalie in the NHL.
Okay.
And I have more confidence in that turning around than the litany of other problems that they have on their roster.
It's just that's a thing you're not going to be able to rid yourself of. Like that contract, obviously, if he's not playing well, you're just stuck with it. And he hasn't been good this season. So I would be a little concerned about that. All right, so if they say this firing happens and they play around 500 hockey for the rest of the year, what are the next moves? Where does this team go?
You have to find a new head coach, a permanent head coach, and you need to find somebody else to oversee that search.
Sure. Okay, so you fire Sweeney. Do you fire Neely?
Yes.
Okay, so you fire Sweeney.
I want
Neely.
fresh eyes.
Okay, very good. So you bring in a new guy, but you have Pasternak, you have Lindholm, both Lindholms, you have McAvoy, you have Swayman, you have these contracts. How much flexibility do you have, and do they start trading off guys?
I think they would start looking at trading off some of the mid-tier guys that you didn't mention. Brandon Carlo.
Charlie Coyle.
Trent Frederick.
What are they going to get for those guys?
Cap space.
Okay.
You free up cap space to go make a bigger splash, or you just shake up your identity, your DNA. I think that my honest opinion is that Florida broke this team's brain. They built a team for the 2003 NHL while ignoring the fact that Florida can do what Florida does because what they have at the top of the roster. Yeah, you have Bennett and Tkachuk going around being menaces because they're allowed to be menaces because you have Barkov and Reinhart at the top of their roster.
Because
the Bruins don't have that.
You're saying that they have top end talent, so
Yes.
there's other guys that are allowed to. They can get more grimy. They can get
right
because there's top end talent to score when they. So they don't need to focus on the finesse part of the game. They can get.
Yeah.
They can get what
Well,
is it?
think about-
Greasy.
do you think that they lost their series with the Panthers this past year because they weren't tough enough? Like, do you think that, or was it because they couldn't score goals?
I think they got suckered into taking dumb penalties and also the inability to score goals.
Right. And and so it's a toxic mix right there. But Don Sweeney failed past version of himself. In May, he says, we got to get faster. We got to add secondary scoring. July 1, they get slower, and they lose all their scoring. They let DeBrusk walk. They let Heinen walk. They let JVR walk. And then they said, oh, the lame duck head coach is going to play one of the kids. No, he's not. He needs to keep his job. He's not going to play one of the kids. He's going to play what's safe to keep his job.
So this is what fascinates me, the way the team is playing right now. And you mentioned only a handful of guys that you think are pulling their weight right now. For everybody else who's standing around watching the puck, who's allowing things to happen, they're not engaging in either end. How do they do that night in and night out, regardless of who the head coach is, regardless of whether they're going to have to answer to him after this season? How do you go out there and play like that when all these guys know better? Right? You know, they've been playing this game their entire lives, and you see things every single night happening on the ice from a variety of players that just don't look like guys who care about the game.
Yeah, I think they're very comfortable. I think that's the only way I can describe it, that a lot of these guys got paid. A lot of these guys have no trade clauses. I think they have a very comfortable, cushy atmosphere there. And part of that is the way that the league operates now in terms of media access. Guys can hide in their buildings, in practice facilities. They can hide after losses if they don't want to talk. Like, I think that's a real thing that's been kind of enabled and happened.
I shouldn't say care about the game, care about the consequences.
Right. I mean, you got paid, you got no trade. Good luck. Good luck moving me. I don't know enough about them to say that has set in, but it's a very comfortable atmosphere. When you get rid of one coach because he's too mean, and then you just stop playing for the guy who's really nice, what are you going to do? They're grown men. You can't ground them. What are you going to do? What can you do?
What kind of coach is Sacco?
Sacco was a guy who's wanted this chance for a decade now. And
Is he
I think,
mean? Is he nice? What kind of a personality?
I think he's direct. He's a Medford guy. I like that.
Okay.
No, I'm not. I just lived there for a little while. I'm not from there.
Yeah.
But
I mean, they do have an identity in Medford.
They do, right?
I mean, that is
No other town.
No, Medford's so much different than
It really
everywhere
is.
else.
No, but I think that this is a guy who's waited a long time for his chance. He's not too different from Bruce Cassidy in that regard, who was really putting his time waiting for the opportunity. And then when it came, there was this mentality of like, you guys aren't going to blow this for me. We're going to go to work. And I think that's what you kind of have to instill. I hated the fact that they would just take a lot of days off. It felt like, oh, no practice today. You just got your ass kicked. Get on the ice. Find another day to take off. You got to work. And I just think that, I do think personally that there was a feeling within that room that he's not the guy. And they knew it. They knew that he was not the guy that was going to be the war general that they might need to get them through Florida, Tampa, maybe even Toronto. Now they have Berube. Like, you're looking at a playoff format where Jim Montgomery had to outfox 3 Stanley Cup winners. Guaranteed. He was going to have to outfox Maurice in Florida, Cooper in Tampa, and or Berube in Toronto. It's a tall task. And I think that internally, both management and the players lost faith in his ability to do that. Real quick, there was the thing that happened last year that I thought was really eye-opening. And I think it was eye-opening just beyond me and people that were around the team, covering the team in that locker room. Brad Marchand gets popped in Game 3. Nothing happens. Game 4, the league warns the Bruins. They go, if you guys go for frontier justice, you're going to be suspended. We're not doing that tonight. Okay, they swallow their pride. They try to challenge him off the draw. Coyle challenges Barkov off the draw. Barkov says, I'm not fighting you. I'm not doing that. Maroon tries fighting Bennett. Bennett says no. Okay. Later in the game, Bennett cross-checks Charlie Coyle into the net, scores a goal. They uphold it. After the game, we ask Jim Montgomery about that. He goes, I think the refs in the league do a great job. What? How can you say that? They just popped your captain in the face. And then that same guy cross-checks one of your other leaders in the net, scores a game-tying goal, you lose Game 4. I think that was a moment where they went, he just said what? And then the next day, Don Sweeney scolds all of us in an airport. You guys, why are you asking him? We shouldn't ask him.
Wait, what are you talking about? I don't remember what happened.
So after that loss and us asking Jim Montgomery about that, Don Sweeney held a press conference the next day at an airport in Bedford before they flew out to Florida and scolded all of us for asking about that. And I was like, well, that's weird. I think that pissed off some people in that room, and that was damage control. That's what I think happened. When that whole thing went down, that's how I saw that playing out in my head, that he just stepped in it, and the locker room went, what did he just say? They do a great job. We're getting screwed left and right now. Have our back. Paul Maurice would have his team's back.
Paul Maurice did not censor himself. Look, I like Jim Montgomery a lot, but
me too. Good guy. But great story.
But they brought him in because Cassidy was too rough. I mean, this is on the players. I mean, it really is. They can't. You had 2 coaches that were considered the best coaches in the NHL for a season. I mean, they weren't, but they were winning awards. And you tell them, and one of them you fire, and he goes off and wins the Stanley Cup the next year with an expansion franchise.
Doesn't that seem like an odd decision, especially for Neely to make too? Like if there's one president of a team where players are gonna somehow rally around and say, we don't like this guy, he's too mean. How do you expect Cam Neely to be the guy who said, you know what, you're right, he's too mean?
I wonder how many guys
I'm going to get rid of him for you.
Yeah, how many guys that are still on the team?
Are we
oversimplifying?
There was an allure to that 22-23 season. I don't think Craig G comes back if Cassie's the coach.
Okay. All right. Well, we can get into it.
All right.
Let's break. Here are the headlines.
Sports. hear more music in the morning?
Never had to knock on wood, but I never had it yet.
No, you said you didn't want to hear more music in the morning. Okay. Here's more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Like the guys that played very well for them last year and helped drive the bus, those guys are all, to a man, underachieving this year. So at the end of the day, Jim Montgomery's the guy who pays the price, and maybe there was some ruffling behind the scenes there. But at the end of the day, whoever comes in, Sacco on the short term maybe, if they go out and get somebody else and bring a higher profile guy, an experienced guy in, the bottom line is these guys have to play better.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. We got Ty Anderson, who, of course, covers the Bruins for the 98.5 thesportshub.com. Also is the host of the hockey show on Saturdays. I just remembered that we have Pucks and Paddles today, and they just fired Montgomery last night. So we're going to be mixing with the Bruins players. Are they going to be pissy, or do you think they're going to be happy?
Oh, they're gonna put a smile
I know
on.
they don't care, but I mean, there's a vibe, there's an energy that we do. It's all about energy, baby. It's all about vibration.
It is.
There is there going to be? Is this going to be better than if they hadn't fired him, or worse that they have fired him?
I think maybe there's a feeling that they're starting anew, so maybe you get some optimism, some positivity.
You know what I'm going to do is make sure to ask them all how they feel.
Yeah.
You should say, hey, this is your fault, before you
quick
start
interview. Now that we're here for the Special Olympics, and I got you cornered.
Maybe I'll bring up this little nugget from Ty when you wrote this yesterday, Ty. You said, I'm going to paraphrase you here. You know what? It may not have anything to do with the coach. Based on the way these guys are playing, it's going to be puck luck and puck luck alone.
Yeah,
that determines how the rest of this season is going to be. So I think the players might like hearing, you know what? It's really just going to be a bounce of the puck. It has nothing to do with how you're playing or what you do any differently. It's got very little to do with you. It's just going to be puck luck.
That's the way they built the team, though. They built the team like everyone has to be white hot at the same time, or they're gonna have a hard time winning. They don't have a bailout right now.
Okay, so you wrote about this too. That the team was built with, all right, we got a couple of guys that are elite goal scorers. We have what we think is an elite goaltender, and we're just going to rely on those two things. Do you think that was really their blueprint, or is that just what they ended up with?
I think their blueprint was that their defense was going to be a lot better. Their power play was going to become more of a weapon. Their PK was going to remain elite, and they could coast on not having the greatest 5-on-5 scoring depth. But, the power play stinks. The penalty kill's the worst it's been in I feel like 15 years. The goaltending hasn't been there, and all the guys that had career years are reverting back to what they were before they got to Boston and before what they were last year for the team. So they are not built to have more than two things going wrong at the same time, and right now they have 5 things going wrong. At the very least, it feels like. It's too much. It's too much.
So Sacco, regardless of what his coaching style is, whether he finds some balance between nice guy, hard line, direct, trying to fix things, they may not have the personnel or the talent to really make a difference one way or the other, regardless of his coaching style.
I mean, through 20 games, Jim Montgomery threw every possible combination he had together out there, and it didn't really work. I think that maybe there are some tweaks you can make to certain lines or certain strategies, but ultimately, if and when this team gets its act together, it's gonna be because guys like Charlie Coyle and Pablo Zacha and Trent Frederick and Nikita Zadorov and Mason Lohrei have all found where they fit. They found their stride, and now they're scoring. There's a stat called, I wrote this in the article you're talking about, PDO. It's that's how you kind of measure your luck. It's your shooting percentage plus your save percentage as a team. Theirs is the fourth worst in the league right now. So if that turns, they're going to win more games, and we're going to go, look at the coaching change worked. And it's like, nope, guys just started scoring goals that they're not scoring right now. And so I think it's a roster issue. It's not a coaching issue. It's a roster issue. Yes, they're not listening to the guy, but I also think that they don't have the talent to overcome that most nights.
Well, based on where we have to be this afternoon, I would like to go on record as saying I think they do have the talent, and I think these young men have got it with a capital I and they're gonna prove you and the world wrong. That's
I
just
hope
a little
they do. You know
it's a
why?
little
Because
self-preservation, right?
Covering these games has been misery. It's been misery. They have been a straight up wretched product for 20 games now. So I'm hoping that they turn it around and get going because they have a lot of money invested in this team. There's a lot of excitement with this team, I think, based on how the preseason or their additions and whatnot. And if that's a disappointment, that really sucks because that's not going to be fun to cover. Nobody wants to cover a rebuilding team.
Is it possible this team still makes the playoffs? Because we're talking about them like they're 3-14. They're not. They're 8-9 and not playing well. And the theory has been, and
they're in right now.
But the theory has been now, just after great regular seasons and bombing out in the playoffs, just get in. Swayman's capable of getting hot, and let's see what happens. Is that a possibility for this team?
Of course. I am not completely down on them. I just think that if we're looking at this as the fix, it's not going to work out. I think that. You saw the article or the podcast the other day by Elliot Friedman saying that they're looking for a shakeup trade. I still make that trade. I still do that. I think you need to bring in another element to this roster. You need to send a message to the room that this is not going to stand. It's not just the coach; it's you guys as well. And I would still do that if I'm the Bruins. I would take a call on a guy like Morgan Geekie, who's not in their plans beyond this year. Maybe trade a struggling guy for struggling guy. See if you can do it that way. I would listen on Trent Frederick. I would. I don't know if that's a guy I want to pay $4 million to a year after this year. There are decisions they have to make, and they're going to have to make them sooner than they may plan on it, but I would shake up the DNA. I would. I think it's overdue to a certain degree.
All right, Timmy, go ahead. You're on with our good friend, Ty Anderson.
So, Ty, all these moves you're mentioning are just tiddlywinks. He had a chance to keep a core of 6 people up top, and he ignored it. He knew what was going on with Bergeron, Krejci, and all that. If he didn't retain – now, this is my opinion. If he didn't retain Hall to keep the strength of those top 6 forwards, he was just basically shooting himself in the foot. The players he has are no good underneath the top 6. If he were to able to do something with some of the minor leaguers, I'd be okay with it. But I don't even think they're the answer. Ty, how does he escape this? This is like a total Houdini trick. There's no way he can escape not getting rid of a lot of players.
Are we talking about like Sweeney?
Sweeney,
Yeah, Sweeney.
Yeah, I mean, the bar for him has been making the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
He's made them every year besides his first year. When they're a Tuukka Rask sickness away from getting in, probably. So that's what's been kind of confusing here is that Charlie Jacobs has been, borderline offended when you brought up, okay, well, why are Neely and Sweeney safe and coaches keep getting fired? And they go, well, the president has overseen 3 Stanley Cup Finals appearances and the GM has a .600 winning percentage. Okay. You just fired a coach with a .710 winning percentage.
Yeah.
That doesn't really jive.
Is that they had that run and then they never really dipped that bad. I mean, they have been consistently a playoff team, and so that's commendable. But we're getting to the end where
we were talking about this happening last year.
Yeah.
And, they've drafted incredibly poorly. I mean, none of those young guys have panned out, basically. And, now the core of that team is aged out, and maybe this is the year that we were waiting for.
It's interesting, and we'll wrap up with Ty because we're out of time, but it is interesting because it does feel like that. And you look at Missoula said yesterday, you get hired to get fired. Everyone in these jobs is going to get fired. Belichick got fired. Like, everyone's going to get fired. And this is probably just the time that Sweeney is going to – I don't know if Neely will get fired. You know more about it than me. I don't know his relationship with ownership. But this just seems like the year where Sweeney's going to get fired. And I guess if you're in that profession, that's a good run, right? You wouldn't be overly – because you can't fire any more coaches. You just can't.
No, this has to be it. This has to be the final one.
This is it. You can't just start firing because no one thinks Cassidy's a bad coach. And no one thinks Jim Montgomery's a bad coach, right?
He's going to get hired again. He'll get another.
I bet he gets one this year.
Yeah. These are guys that are good. I mean, Cassidy's obviously a very good coach. Now he probably burns out the teams, but he's obviously a very good coach.
He's going to flame out in Vegas.
Yeah, he'll flame out.
No, they got a banner. They got a banner.
But they got a cup, so who cares?
He's the NHL version of Jim Harbaugh.
Well, or the dude in Philadelphia, Tortorella.
I just want whatever change comes. I want a whole new set of fresh eyes.
Yeah,
I can't keep doing like they have been crippled by the last thing they saw. Every year they get eliminated. They're like, well, we got to do that. We got to do that. It's like, okay, you're building a team, designing an offseason to beat one team,
right,
and ignoring 30 other teams you got to beat as well.
Well, if they make the playoffs and this team was built for the playoffs, then like I've always been saying that I don't care what they do in the regular season, but now they fired Montgomery, so the spotlight's on them. All right, Ty Anderson, read all his stuff. It's excellent on 98.5thesportsup.com. How do people get the kids love the social media? You go ahead. How do they follow
you
you?
can find me on X @_Ty Anderson. You can find me. I don't know, just Google my name.
What about Blue Sky?
I'm on there.
Yeah.
I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm on there.
I forgot about Blue Sky.
I know. I've been meaning to do it. I haven't
I'm on
done it
Threads. I liked when I joined Blue Sky, and I had a bunch of people being like, "Oh, you liberal communist." I'm like, yeah, man. I just want to make money. I don't know.
But people said that on X, not on Blue Sky.
Yeah,
That's
it's like
the
I gotta get
difference.
my writing out there so people click it. And I have a job.
I'm still not positive what Blue Sky is, nor do I care to. I'm fine with the Instagram. I'm good with the one outlet. That's all I need. I haven't put anything on Facebook
I have a
25
Facebook page,
years.
and
I think we're friends.
I don't use it.
I don't use it at all. I never
No.
look at it except to reach out to a couple people in the past. All right, look, we'll be right back. We have a very fun game with our friend Jimmy Stewart. Well, so we got to get to that. We'll have that in just a moment.
Toucher and Hardy, 98. exciting kickoff to the final play. Your home of the pass. 98.5. The Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines.
Celtics saw a 21-point third-quarter lead cut all the way down to 2, but they hung on.
Cavs doing this without Levert, without Okoro. Jaylen Brown drives, bounce back to the corner. Tatum step back, pump fake, drives baseline. Strong two-hand slam. 104-100, a 30-point, 11-rebound night for Jason Tatum.
That is Sean Grandy here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Tatum had 33 points in all to lead his team to a 121-17 home win over Cleveland at TD Garden last night. Donovan Mitchell scored a game-high 35 and shot the Cavs back into the game, but they still suffered their first loss of the season. This win also keeps the Celtics alive for advancement to the quarterfinals of the NBA Cup. The team will visit the White House tomorrow and visit the Washington Wizards in D.C. on Friday night. As for the Bruins, they have a new head coach this morning. Jim Montgomery failed to make it all the way to the end of the final year of his contract yesterday. The team fired him following an 8-9-3 start. Assistant coach Joe Sacco has been promoted on an interim basis to replace him. The team's next game is at home tomorrow night against the Utah Hockey Club. The Patriots will be back at practice today. They visit Miami on Sunday. And Nick Pivetta yesterday declined the Red Sox qualifying offer. He heads to free agency. If he signs anywhere else this winter, the Sox will receive a compensatory draft pick before the third round of the first-year player draft. Sports Hub headlines are driven by the Albrecht Auto Group, Zoe's Auto Dealer. Get respected Albrecht with 7 locations and thousands of new and pre-owned vehicles. Get the right vehicle at the right price now at albrechtauto.com. I'm John Wallach of Boston Tone for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update is 8:30.
The biggest names in Boston sports. Talk to Boston's home for sports.
Jason Tatum joins us outside the Celtics locker room.
Jim Montgomery, coach of your Boston Bruins.
Celtics head coach Joe Mazzulla.
The games, the players, and your favorite shows. On air, online at 985thesportshub.com and on the Sports Hub app. Half toucher.
Dressed like a gorilla.
Half Hardy.
A big, beautiful ball of flame.
And a whole lot of Boston sports.
And I have had many offers to become an insider. The rapist. But he was the good guy in the fight because Jake Paul, really when it comes time to it, is a performer and a successful one. He is what they term in wrestling a heel.
That is correct.
But every time we hear the term heel, there's a certain segment of society that goes, yes, yes.
I love feet.
That Tony Maz is one. We just found out Ty Anderson loves asses. So there's a lot going on.
Oh, I missed that conversation. I had my headphones on.
You text him, Johnny. You'll be fine.
Damn it.
Yeah, you'll be fine. All right, so we came up with a game in honor of heels like Jake Paul, while this is still fresh in everyone's mind. And what is that game called?
Heel turn or heel yearn?
Walk all over you.
Well done, Chewy Stu.
Wow. That was scary.
So this is either going to be the name of a wrestler who did a heel turn or somebody who commented on a foot fetish website.
All right.
Okay.
And what's very funny is we were in a meeting and I don't remember who was like, well, how are we going to find people who have foot fetish websites? And I sat there on my phone and I'm like, you could spend the rest of your life and never get through all the foot fetish websites. It's just Instagram, Google, Blue Sky, whatever you want.
I like to suck on toes.
These boots are made for
All right. So this is a guy, if he comments on, if it's a heel wrestler or a person who is commenting on a foot fetish website, and I'm sure we'll have Jay Stu describing both of them. All right, let's go.
Start walking.
All right, let's
hit the post, baby.
Yeah, you did. Let's start with a name that will be read by Jay Stu. You have to tell me if this is the name of a wrestler who made a heel turn or someone who made a comment on a foot fetish website. Here we go.
Seth Rollins.
Oh, that's easy.
Easy.
That is a wrestler.
That's
All right, very good.
Correct. You're the hero we need, not the one we deserve.
Thank you, Jay Stu. Who is Seth Rollins?
He's in the wrong because he hit Roman Reigns with a chair, breaking up the Shield years ago. He also cashed in on Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 31 when it was Roman Reigns' first main event. Not to mention the federal crime he committed on Edge by breaking into his home.
Okay, that's
I
enough.
could go on, but
Yeah.
Seth Rollins, one of the biggest heels in the history of the
He
industry.
broke the shield. You never break the shield.
A little too much information.
The shield is impenetrable. Seth Rollins, you went over the line with the chair.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You can never break the chair. The shield.
That's right.
Everyone remembers the shield. All right.
Here we go.
The Barbarian.
All right. Is the Barbarian a heel or a foot fetish website?
I'm going heel on this one, Fred. I say wrestler.
Oh no, the Barbarian's far too obvious. Barbarian would be like 1940s wrestling. There's no one called the Barbarian anymore.
You're a heel, Fred.
Oh, you're right, John.
Damn right I am.
As part of a tag team named the Powers of Pain, the Warlord and Barbarian acquired the evil Mr. Fuji from Axe and Smash of Demolition at the Survivor Series in 1988.
Of that 1988.
Mr. Fuji was cunning. Now, he didn't have the brain of Bobby Heenan, but he was a cunning behind-the-scenes manager. And if it was listen, guys, if there was a tag team match, he would distract one of the team.
So let's see
He'd
if
hold him with his cane.
Let's see if Jay Stu is going to try and trip us up here and go a third wrestler in a row. Is this the name of a wrestler or is this the name of a commenter on a foot fetish website?
The Anime King.
Jay Stu, never have anime and weird fetishes paths crossed. If there's someone had a big stack of anime, no one would think that maybe they had a peculiar kink. I'm going to take a leap and say foot fetishist. Yeah.
That is correct. Now, instead of describing the person because they are largely anonymous, we will just have Jay Stu read a comment.
Oh, good.
Left by the Anime King.
Big Z.
Oh, excuse me.
Do you like your feet being rubbed, licked, or tickled?
God, I love foot fetishes. It's so innocent.
So again, somebody just posted a picture of their foot. Some of these are, completely innocent. They're just Instagram, but someone feels the need to leave a comment that is.
Do you like your feet being rubbed, licked, or tickled?
See, you find it gross. I think it's awesome. Because in theory,
it's not
like it's nothing to the woman or the man. It's nothing to the person. Like if you could rub and tickle my feet, and I wouldn't care at all. It's like just the extraneous part. There's no erogeousness to it. There's no like real feeling to it. It's just this thing.
You're misunderstanding my reaction. My reaction is Jay Stu being so good at this. It's creepy.
I don't think
that's what I'm reacting
playing
to.
a heel.
Whatever. If everyone likes what they like, that's fine.
The
but
foot
the
humper.
way he's reading it, it's just getting to be.
This is my character, the foot humper. I hump feet.
I like to suck on toes.
Oh.
Well, that's from To Catch a Predator. You put two of them together, and then you hump it. That's what you do with the feet.
He is sexually attracted to women's feet.
All right. Let's continue. Is this a heel turn or a heel yearn? All right.
Big Z.
Oh, boy.
Big Z.
I'm going heel urine on this one.
I'm going wrestler.
Fred's going wrestler.
Wrong. You really are evil, you heel.
All right. Very good.
Here is the description or the comment left by Big Z.
I want to let your feet marinate in my mouth.
I've ran out of words for sucking. I need it to marinate. Mm. Again, you could do whatever. If I was with the girl and she just like, give me your foot, I'd sit there and watch a movie while she's screwing around with my foot. Boy, you might as well just say I'm into chairs. It means so little to me.
Hi, ma'am.
No. You can't necessarily play these. You can't necessarily play these anymore.
Oh, no?
No. In this atmosphere, no.
Oh,
No.
Oh, that's a shame. All
Yeah,
right, let's
you
go
can't
on.
really play the naughty mouse.
All right, name number 3. Is this the name? Excuse me, a little granola bar stuck in my throat. Excuse me.
All right. Well, listen, we wanted a foot to marinate. We don't have that to create saliva.
Name number 3. Is this the name of a wrestler who made a heel turn or someone commenting on a foot fetish website?
Austin Idol.
Ooh, boy.
Austin Idol?
Austin Idol.
I'm going to say wrestler.
I'm going to say foot fetishist.
John Wallach.
Perfect.
I like cats. Chase,
I
too.
see.
Yep.
Austin Idol turned on Jerry the King Lawler in Memphis Wrestling. Austin Idol was jealous of Jerry the King Lawler, who was the king of Memphis.
Yeah. He was the king, all right.
Oh, yeah, of course.
That's right.
He was a big rockabilly fella.
All right, let's see.
Became the honky-tonk man.
Fred, you haven't gotten you got a couple wrong in a row here. Let's see if you can make up for it here.
David Glover.
From David Glover was the lead singer of
Living
Color.
He only gave us one take, too. It's like, not Corey Glover.
Oh, David Gilmour.
Glover.
It's like David Gilmour
Glover.
and Corey Glover.
I
All
don't
right,
know.
David Glover. David Glover, I would imagine, is not only a foot fetishist, but a mitten fetishist.
I agree with Fred.
My goodness. Very beautiful feet and pretty good toes.
Yeah.
I love them. Enjoy your weekend.
Have a nice day.
He's the best.
Enjoy a picnic.
Oh,
I love the foot and the
We're all
toes are
freaking adults here.
the foots and the toes are separate entities. You'll notice. Like the foot's a 10. The toes are a 7.
That's my absolute favorite.
My goodness. Very beautiful feet and pretty good toes. I love them. Enjoy your weekend.
Tip of the cap, madame. Thank you.
All right, you guys both got that one right.
Thank you for being my masturbatory fantasy.
How about
the Heartbreak Kid?
Oh,
that's a wrestler.
That's a wrestler.
yeah, that is correct.
Correct. Shawn Michaels, you're the hero Marty Jannetty through the window of the barbershop, a segment on WWF Challenge in which Brutus Beefcake was interviewing the Rockers who were going through a tough time as a tag team.
Okay,
they were.
Shawn Michaels turned out to be the star.
They were
of
rock and roll
Marty
stars.
Jannetty, well,
That's enough.
Google him.
Okay.
It ain't pretty.
Okay.
They were the rock and roll gang. They were they took on the Socias.
What?
The Socias.
Yeah, the
they tried
Greasers.
to they tried to drown him in a fountain. Okay. Then he saved all the kids. It was heartbreaking. You know what's heartbreaking? The final gasp of the feline. It literally broke its heart.
Enjoy your weekend.
All right, very good. And one more, two more. What do we got?
2 more.
All right, here we go.
Geraldo Santos.
Oh well, that's
boy.
just that's a South American foot fetishist.
John?
I say foot fetishist.
Wonderful little feet with red nail polish, which is the color of love and passion. And I love you so much, my love of my life. I will always love your perfect feet. Enjoy your weekend.
That sounds like a like you write your own vows.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, I won't be needing the top half of you. Just you sit down. Now he's like literally just talking to the foot. I will always love and cherish your feet. Everything else is throw it away. You might as well chop one off and I'll marry that.
All right, last one, guys.
Marvin Murphy.
Now, is that the name of a wrestler turned heel or somebody commenting on a foot fetish website?
Well, it's the worst wrestling.
Marvin Murphy.
It's got to be a foot fetish website because it would be the worst wrestling name of all time.
I'll go different. I'll say wrestler.
Oh, John.
Wrong. You really are evil, you heel.
Yes, let's hear the comment left by Marvin Murphy.
Crush me, mommy. Crush me with those perfect feet. Oh, crush me, please, mommy. Enjoy your weekend.
Oh boy. What if you found out you're...
Crush me, mommy.
What if you found out you had the cubicle next to that guy? Like, do you have those expense reports, Rick?
Crush me, mommy. Crush me with those perfect feet. Oh.
Do you have those reports, Jed?
Crush me, mommy. Crush me with those perfect feet. Oh, crush me, please, mommy.
Oh, boy.
Really nice work there by
Heel
Chase Jones
turn
on this game we called.
Or heel yearn.
Really good.
I'm lost in the foot fetishist.
Crush me, mommy.
I'm so boring. I got to be so boring. So boring to everyone. I want nothing. I want none of this.
Enjoy your weekend.
You keep playing where you shouldn't be playing.
Oh, my goodness.
And you keep thinking that you'll never get burned.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Ha!
Now you got to do a Fuppets.
Me a brand new box
That's
of matches.
right. There's payback tomorrow morning.
Now you got to do the Fuppets. All right. Chris Forsberg is going to join us. We saw the undefeated Cleveland Cavaliers fall to the Celtics last night. Celtics will get his take on everything that happened as they continue in this cup.
Crush me with those perfect feet. Oh, crush me, please, mommy.
What if that was Forsberg? We'll ask him.
Okay.
Good. Now you got to start asking everyone. Are you the mommy crush me guy at the foot fetish website?
Wonderful little feet with red nail polish, which is the color of love.
All right. Very good. We'll be right back. And the Celtics last night, 120-117, victory over the Cavaliers. The Emirates Cup is what it's called.
The Emirates NBA Cup.
Boy, the NBA is all in with this Abu Dhabi thing. And it's not even from the NBA taking their money. I wonder what Abu Dhabi wants out of this. Because I was thinking about it in the car on the way in. I actually was like, you're never going to get mainstream travel there. Like, no one's going to take their money and go, I want to go on a week's vacation. I want to fly to the Middle East and sit in the desert. Like, it's never going to happen.
It's aggressive. Like, it's superimposed on the floor whenever the Celtics play.
Oh, yeah.
Home and away.
Well,
it's
Celtics
weird.
played there, obviously, in the preseason where Chris Forsberg was. I'm not going to ask him about Abu Dhabi again. He explained it very well. But it seems like an odd, not for the NBA to take the money, it just seems odd for Abu Dhabi to be that interested in North America and travel to their country.
I don't think that's it. I think it's PR, and if you want to get really down the rabbit hole, it's sport washing is what they're being accused of.
What's that mean?
They're trying to clean up their world image by investing and being a part of things that are universally loved. See, we're not all that bad over here. We don't have oppressive regimes in this part of the world. We don't have laws and institutions that are all that bad. We're in basketball. We're in golf. We do all this fun stuff that you like.
Okay. Well, that makes more sense than travel. That explains it. Because I was thinking, like, no one's ever going to take a vacation there. Like, Ma and Pa America.
Right.
They normally go to Miami.
Yeah,
and never going to go.
Which they, might have their sights set on as, a nice little benefit also. But it's more about image because you're talking about, sums of money and amounts of money that was covered extensively when not to make it about golf, but when the LIV started, they were going into the public investment fund and how much was in there, $630 billion. And that in 10 more years, it could be worth $1 trillion. You're talking about enough money to where, if this goes well, we essentially tried to take over golf, literally tried to take over the entire sport as a professional enterprise all over the planet. And if that went well, maybe we get ourselves an NFL team. Actually, NFL teams, let's say the price skyrocketed and every one of them was worth $10 billion. Can we afford that? Oh, yeah.
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 Can pretty much afford an entire league.
This public investment fund is going to be worth $1 trillion in 10 more years. We could buy the NFL.
But the thing
great.
is, if you bought the NFL, you'd buy the NFL for like all this money, and then the people that own the NFL would have all that money, and then they could combat that, and then we could really consolidate all the money. All right, Chris Forsberg, thank you for hanging on during that.
What are you, a communist? You want to consolidate money now?
I want to consolidate it between like 5 people.
Oh, great.
That's how I wanted to do it.
Exactly right.
Chris Forsberg, of course, from NBC Sports Boston. Talking Green with Chris Forsberg is presented by Bentley University, where good business begins and leaders come to learn. Chris joins us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. Hi, Christopher Forsberg.
Good morning, friends. I had fun in Abu Dhabi.
I know you did, buddy, and I'm not going to ask any more about it. We've already tortured you enough with that.
You have fun flying Spirit Airlines, so your definition of fun is a little skewed.
Yeah.
So my boys went bankrupt over the weekend. This is what I got. I flew Breeze instead of Spirit, and I feel like it's karma for straying from my beloved Spirit.
Aww.
Breeze sounds like something someone would call a silent fart.
Wait, that's actually an airline?
Yeah, that doesn't sound like an airline. That sounds like slang for farting.
Breeze is an offshoot of JetBlue. One of the owners has created if you see the planes, you would think it was a JetBlue plane. It was a lovely experience out of Providence.
My favorite thing about JetBlue is that they took all their planes that were on the forefront of technology 30 years ago and just didn't change them. They just said, they're like, these TVs are like TVs were in the 80s.
Yeah, I like JetBlue because you might fly on a plane going out somewhere that is brand new. It's still got that new plane smell. And the one you take back still has ashtrays in the armrest.
Yeah, I'm pretty much all in on Delta at this point. But you go to Myrtle Beach, so who am I to tell you what to do? You know what I'm saying?
It all comes down to cost efficiency. I crunched the numbers, and whoever would like to truck me, if you can give me a $108 round trip flight, you get my business.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah. That I don't even know if their responsibility is to land the thing at that point.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, what did the last night mean to you? It certainly meant something to the Cavaliers and the Celtics, as evident by the way they played the game in terms of use of the bench and minutes of starters. What did you take away from that?
I think, especially in the first half when the Celtics took their defense up a little bit, it was nice. We haven't seen it consistently this year. It was a little reminder that when they do have a little extra motivation, that they can take it up to a championship level. Would have liked to have seen them be a little bit more consistent in the third quarter and really kind of keep their foot on the gas. But Cleveland's really good. I do think they've sort of shown they're the second best team in the East until whether New York figures it out or Pacers get healthy and get some more chemistry, whatever the case may be. Like Cleveland was knocking on the door last year to being very good, and with the right mix and with Kenny Atkinson now on the bench, it feels like they've tapped into something. I like that we only have to wait like a couple weeks here. December 1st, we get a rematch, and maybe they'll be a little bit healthier. I'm sure they go back to Cleveland thinking if they had a Coro and LeVert, that game might have tipped differently. But I did like that the Celtics just, with a big stage to sort of reaffirm that they are the champs. They sort of sent a reminder, even if it wasn't crisp throughout.
Thank you for reminding me of the Cleveland injuries, because they kept referring them to during the game, and I'm like, I don't know who these people are. But thank you for saying that. I knew that there were injuries. I didn't know who the people were. All right, we talk a lot about the Celtics, but I am very interested in Cleveland, because who expected them to be 15-0? Everyone's saying that they're real. What's different this year than last year, in your opinion, other than the coaching?
I know that's the simple answer, and it's weird too, because like when from afar, I didn't understand why there was maybe friction with JB Bickerstaff. They got to the second round of the playoffs, pushed the Celtics fairly hard despite their own injuries last year. Like Kenny Atkinson obviously has a pretty good history here, having been with the Warriors and been a head coach in this league, and I do think he's a good coach for them, and it certainly seems to have tapped into a little bit more of their potential. But I really think the reason for the next step is Evan Mobley has just had more time. He was young. He's sort of spreading his wings with this team now. Like all their younger guys are starting to play better. Garland, even with a quiet game last night, has been great this season. Jared Allen, and they've got a really good bench. Like when they're healthy and Okoro's out there, and you have Merrill and LeVert off the bench. And I know you're saying those guys aren't household names, but LeVert has killed the Celtics every single time he's been here. It was actually like a real boost for the Celtics that he wasn't out there. So I just think they're more positioned to be consistent on a night-to-night basis. Their bench plays well when they're out there. They had been great at the end of games. They play a little differently this year, more cutting. But like when you have Donovan Mitchell out there and proven guy in the playoffs, it's just all come together for them. And I do think that, they were 2 years ago, they were atop the East and then completely fizzled in the playoffs. Last year, you could say they were a little quieter and then got a little, maybe not many people expecting them to be in the East semifinals. If they stay healthy, they're going to be there, and their size gives the Celtics trouble. And so I really think they're going to be there in the end and be a team that the Celtics got to reckon with in the playoffs.
Yeah, when it came to the guys that were hurt, I was more poking fun at my own ignorance than the value of the players. I just heard them referring to hurt players, injured players, and I'm like, I don't know.
They got a bunch of guys
that
you haven't heard of, but that contribute. LeVert is very hot and cold. And I think Chris will back me up on this. I mean, he could score 0 one night and 40 the next night, but that 40 always seems to come against the Celtics, especially in the playoffs.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead, John.
No, I wanted to ask, the thing that surprised me is Neemias Queta actually contributing to this team for a long period of time. It's a guy who couldn't get on the floor against Sacramento, and other teams are seeking him out, getting mismatches. How many times did we see Donovan Mitchell matched up against him last night? Is this guy going to get playing time when Kristaps Porzingis comes back?
I think it'll be a little bit more matchup dependent in that instance. I think, anytime you add in a guy who, look, maybe Porzingis is only playing 20, 25 minutes when he first comes back, but certainly when you start thinking ahead to the playoffs, the way the Celtics went down to 8 guys last night and Luke gets the DNP, could just be, do you need sort of that more of an energy guy, more sort of athleticism around the basket? Maybe then Queta gets minutes. But I do think they're kind of prepping him to be in those spots. I mean, the fact that he was out there last night when he was getting clearly targeted every trip down the floor. Early in the fourth quarter there, you saw like they finally decided, all right, we just can't keep doing this, and kind of brought back Al pretty quickly. I think he went subbed out at like 9 minutes ago, went right back in with 7.5. Like, look, Keita has shown a lot of strides. He's still got a lot more to make. I think he's been way better than I expected and made way more progress to this point. But yeah, like if he's gonna be a consistent guy, just the defensive end and knowing that teams are gonna look for that switch. Look, the Warriors did it and got Steph on him every time late in the game, and the Cavaliers knew and went with the same game plan. You got to understand when the Celtics have all these great defenders, and if he's going to be what you would call the weakest link out there, he's got to be ready for that and just be just a little bit more crisp. And guys can help him by being in the right spots and all that. But yeah, I don't want to take away from what he's developed into and what he's done. I do think it's a little murkier what his role will be deeper into the year.
All right, enough about X's and O's. Celtics going to the White House tomorrow. You going?
I am not going. Abby gets all the fun, so she will get to go do that.
What, easy breezy doesn't fly to DC? You can't.
I will have to check. I do believe Spirit goes there. I will. Okay. But yeah, it's one of those things. Like, it's been funny to hear like Joe Mazzulla is just like, yeah, whatever. I don't care. It's just the White House, of course. Yeah, right. And you would expect nothing less. Some of the players have embraced it a little bit more. I do think you don't get this opportunity very often. And I think back to, I don't know, did you guys ever hear the story of like 64, 65, I think it was? They all went down there, Sanders telling JFK to stay cool, baby, and stuff like that. So I don't know, maybe the Celtics would just approach it. Like sometimes you get a little too formal and buttoned up when you're in these situations. Maybe Jaylen Brown would just go chill at the White House and talk diplomacy with Joe Biden.
Yeah, if you can understand him, he talks at a very low register. I'll tell you that. All right, so what do the Celtics have to do to go? They have to do win differential or something. What do they have to do to move on in this tournament?
Advance. That's right.
To advance in this tournament, they're 1-1. I believe Washington is their next tournament
Friday,
opponent,
which they're going to DC.
Right. And so, as we were just discussing, so what do they have to do? They certainly have to win the game, I would imagine.
Right.
What has to happen?
And so essentially you're looking to create a three-way tiebreaker at this point. So you've already lost to Atlanta. You're hoping Cleveland beats Atlanta. You're looking for everyone to finish 3-1, and then it will go to essentially point differential, which, if you remember last year, became a big deal because the Celtics ran up the score on the Bulls with the hack of Drummond, and Billy Donovan was big mad about it. And so I suspect we could see something similar where if the Celtics get on top of either the Wizards or the Bulls, they're gonna try to push that score up in hopes of whether it's winning the Group C or getting one of those wild card spots based on point differential. They've got some work to do, and they need some help along the way. But it is nice that it's just still a thing. Like, I mean, I know people are still kind of slow to adopt this, but I do think it's at a time of year when the league just needs a little something extra. It's nice that we have, like, okay, Friday night against the Wizards means a little bit more. A Tuesday against the Bulls is going to mean a little bit more. And look, if the Celtics don't advance, then we can all forget about it and say that we don't care about this tournament. But there was some extra buzz.
It doesn't hurt anybody. Enough. I don't know the complaining about the tournament. Who cares? The worst thing is just don't care. And obviously they cared last night, and because you saw that they didn't go deep into their benches, and they played guys a lot of minutes. And LeBron James cared about it last year. But I mean, as someone who bitches about everything constantly, there is a point where you just have to go, it's not affecting me negatively in any way. It doesn't affect the product negatively. The only argument could be that it affects it positively. And if you don't care about it, then don't care about it.
Well, but to me, that's what makes it a bad product, is you don't care. I literally don't care. One way or the other, whether or not they advance after the game Friday night or not.
But they'd be playing these games anyway.
They're playing the games anyway, and I think it's just a hallmark of anything that you put out there. The last thing you want is people to not care one way or the other. You want them to love it.
That's their issue. That's their issue.
Would you care if it was just a random Friday night against the Wizards?
No.
So, yeah. But at least now we're giving you a second reason to care.
But
right?
I don't.
Like.
So Hardy doesn't like the marketing, and so he's saying it's a marketing failure.
Yeah, this is bizarre world.
That's it. I'm saying in terms of marketing this product, it fails for me specifically, because I do not care. I don't like it, nor do I hate it. I don't care about the Emirates NBA Cup. I don't care.
Well,
as usual, Fred is the voice of reason on this program.
That's why you said it was bizarro.
How did everything that I just said translate to Fred being the voice of reason?
Because he has correctly identified that this is enhanced the product, that it has created.
No, he hasn't.
Little
You
pockets.
did. You're trying to make a case for it.
No,
but
I
Fred
said
is
that
not.
they tried harder last night, and LeBron James cared about it last year.
Hey,
he's
Lakers?
always submarining me, and I didn't even submarine him.
How is it going to help a team if they try and run up the score and they have to keep their starters out there?
Well, it makes it more interesting.
Extra drama that would not otherwise exist. And I look, I don't watch enough soccer or other sports to know like whether these in-season tournaments really work for.
Well,
for
obviously
groups,
they work. Everyone's obsessed with soccer except for us. So I mean, they obviously work. I mean,
so give me a little extra motivation at a time of year when like you're trying to wrestle eyeballs away from the NFL.
Hardy always leans negative. That's the problem with him.
It's sad that you need extra motivation to watch the NBA. It's kind of your thing.
Now you're trying to back me into a corner.
A little bit.
Little bit. I'm gonna come. I don't know. I'm gonna try to change the subject to golf. But how about that Rory McIlroy?
Hardy doesn't like to be challenged. All right, very good.
No, that's what I challenge. I don't care, and it's like I'm supposed to care. You're challenging me on my level of care.
I apologize. I didn't mean to infer that you cared. You're establishing.
Don't
that you
try
don't.
and make me care.
All right, Chris Forsberg. Everyone loves him. NBC Sports Boston. Thank you for the time, sir.
Thank y'all. See you soon.
All right, we appreciate it. He's alerted us to Easy Airlines or Breezy Airlines.
Breezy. Yeah, which I think only flies out of Providence.
I'm trying to think of a joke of what their like medallion system would be, but I can't think of anything funny. So I apologize. I'm a little worried about the mood of the Bruins today, to be honest with you. That's really holding a cloud over my head. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Here are the headlines.
Sports Hub.
This is Das Racist, who I believe met at Wesleyan.
That sounds about right.
They had a Jerobi figure in this group.
Yes, their hype man.
They had a hype man that didn't do anything. He wasn't a DJ or an MC. But Jerobi was at that, from Tribe Called Quest, was at that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction.
He came back into the fold after things fell out between Q-Tip and Fife. And obviously after Fife passed.
I saw the documentary. It didn't seem like he did an awful lot.
No.
But, all right.
He's a gourmand. He's a chef now. He has a restaurant concerns. Jerobi from Tribe Called Quest.
Restaurant concerns.
He has restaurant concerns. He's all Adam 12 is concerned about is who's serving spaghetti, which
That's right, for free.
Churchy has to get to the basement of.
Garlic bread.
They got now you're pushing your luck. All
Hey,
right.
I need something to sop the sauce up with, Fred. Come on.
Very good. How continental of you. Billy Jaffe will be joining us on Zoom here. Adam was not in studio, Adam said, which the audience is going to be just fit to be tied about. But the Billy Jaffe will join us to talk about Jim Montgomery and everything else. But every now and again, I'll get something during the show, or in this case, during the show, from a listener that has to be done. This is Dan from in Providence, he calls himself.
Okay.
This is impressive. When someone goes to these lengths, this is impressive. Good morning, gentlemen. I wanted to inform you that a contractor has been selected to rebuild the Tanasi Clubhouse in Tellico Village. All right. He knows the name of the clubhouse that burned down in my dad's, where my parents live, that my dad keeps defending. He found that. So he must have Googled fire East Tennessee or something.
So what? He's going online and reading the Tellico Times?
Yeah,
and getting this information?
Wow. It's incredibly impressive. Tellico Village to speak with Fred Toucher Jr., Fred's dad, so he knows Fred Toucher Jr., because I'm the third.
Or is it the Teleco World Observer? Which is the paper of record in Teleco Village?
There's like I don't know if Teleco has a paper per se. My parents do subscribe to a Knoxville paper, which, if you enjoy AP reports, is where it's at. I believe they have one guy writing. There's like one column about University of Tennessee football, and the rest is just AP stuff. Fred Toucher Jr., head of marketing for a segment on the Sports Hub Golf Club, had to Google the title. They could discuss how great the community is and then linger around and watch the construction of the new building.
This is big. This is big news.
Yeah. So would you like to go? Because they are rebuilding the Tanassi Clubhouse.
I would have liked to have been looped in earlier on this during the bidding process.
I believe that's been going on for 2 years now. So I think that my dad, again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, they live right by this golf clubhouse, and the golf clubhouse burned down. And it had a restaurant and everything in it. There was like electrical or an oil fire or something. And it's been sitting, the land just barren for 2 years. And when I say to my dad, why have they built anything? He's like, hey, stupid, you don't know like what has to be done. There's a lot of tax and insurance implications.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, why do they build stuff all the time? Like in cities, they build skyscrapers.
Tax and insurance, stupid.
Yeah, but he's just like, what are you talking about? I'm like, couldn't they do this quicker? No. And why can't they do it quicker? What? Freddie? No, they can't. It's all above your head.
It is.
Oh, is that right? You're not smart enough to understand this. Is that what he's implying?
My father doesn't come right out and say it, but that is the vibe of you can ask my kids or my ex-wife, like you can ask them, like they'll tell you, like the vibe of my conversations with my dad is he doesn't say it and he doesn't yell until I push him too far, but the conversation is like, you moron, like you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, Fred, also you don't understand the dance, and that is part of the whole process. There is a years-long project going on my street that my next-door neighbor and I spent some time yesterday, hands in pockets, looking at a retaining wall, talking about where the fence is going to end. We got to cap these blocks here. We're going to continue the fence. This has been going on for years, Fred.
Okay, don't leave me in suspense. Is this something you're involved in, or is this the neighborhood?
Heavily involved.
How are you involved?
Like what do they call those? DOA? What is that called?
DOA is not
HOA.
HOA. Is this an HOA?
We are not in a HOA. We are trying to finish the work on our street so that it can be accepted by the town. And due to some very unfortunate circumstances, we as homeowners are kind of left to deal with this on our own as opposed to the developer. Are you in a cul-de-sac? It is a cul-de-sac.
Oh.
So
high living.
Part of this has to do with fencing a retention pond. The retention pond needs to be cleared of brush and debris, and then the fence has to be erected around the retention pond. And this all has to be done in concert and close working with the city and the town engineer, Alphonse, great guy. He and I have spoken many times.
You made that up.
His name is Alphonse.
His name is really Alphonse.
He's the town engineer for Canton, and he's a great guy, and we're working together. But this is, as I say, Fred, the dance. And then maybe Aaron comes out and he gives me a quote on a fence.
Do you enjoy this?
Maybe Bruins Luchador was out there a year or two ago giving us the first quote on the fence. And these are all guys that you got to talk to. And these are things that, yes, I enjoy. I do not enjoy wasting people's time, though, and I, like you, Fred, like to move forward and get things done. But there are 7 other residents that have to be consulted on these matters, and this is all part of the dance, capital D.
So we know now Hardy lives in a cul-de-sac. You know why they invented cul-de-sacs.
Why is that?
Keep minorities out.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're little pockets.
Oh, wonderful.
They're little pockets of suburban waspiness.
Well,
I don't care for it.
No, let me tell you
Push
something.
it away. I live on a regular street.
It ain't working. I got 2 neighbors I got to speak to about this.
Well, listen, I'm telling you.
Your street's narrow enough so when you park, you block someone from going around you?
A sore subject, Fred, or John. I don't know if Fred wants to talk about that again.
Okay. He said he lives on a regular street. I'm just saying.
I live on a regular.
Cul-de-sac, probably more room.
I live on a street of the
wide street.
I live on the street of the people. Anyone. There ain't no dead end where I live, baby. You come on through. You're welcome. Tip of the cap to everyone. I don't live on some exclusive cul-de-sac with big engineers coming around.
It's a town engineer, and he's been very helpful, as many people have.
Can you drive the train too? Is he a dual engineer?
You see, now you're trying to get my goat, and I'm not going to allow you to get it.
All right, well, listen. Billy, we have to go to Cuts for a Cause. We get to go to Cuts for a Cause today.
Pucks and paddles.
Pucks and paddles.
And paddles.
Today,
that is the name of the event.
Today, which is with the Bruins, who have just fired their coach. It should be very interesting. It was Cuts for a Cause for decades.
I know that.
So, I mean, listen.
Just me helping. That's all that is.
No, Hardy's like flabbergasted that I got the name wrong. It's Pucks and Paddles. It doesn't matter. It's a charity event with the Bruins. That's all that matters.
Sure.
Billy Jaffe is going to join us. We will talk to him in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hood.
million times where it's like, it's time to win. It's time to lock in, guard your yard, help each other on defense, get a stop, go down on offense and find out who we're trying to attack, where we need to put guys at and make the right play. Like I said, we just do the simple things really well, really often.
Donovan Mitchell scored a game-high 35 for the Cavaliers. They fall to 15-1. The Celtics are also still alive to advance to the knockout round of the NBA Cup. They'll play another Cup game against the Washington Wizards Friday night. First, though, the team will visit the White House tomorrow. As for the Bruins, as you know by now, some big news yesterday as the team fired head coach Jim Montgomery. Former Colorado head coach and current Bruins assistant Joe Sacco is Montgomery's interim replacement. The team's next game is at home tomorrow night against the Utah Hockey Club. Patriots will visit the Miami Dolphins on Sunday. They'll be back out of practice this afternoon. And Red Sox pitcher Nick Pivetta officially declined the team's qualifying offer yesterday. He will test free agency. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the $14.99 Big Deal Meals at the Nines. 4 new hearty full-size entrees like the roasted turkey dinner available every Monday through Wednesday for just $14.99. You gotta love the Nines. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9:30.
This is Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown turns the corner. Finger roll is up and good. Score to the foul.
Listen to home of the Boston Celtics, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Fred describes himself in 7 words.
A guy in tights and a cape.
And Hardy with blunt honesty.
I am not known as Mr. Fun.
Dutcher and Hardy continues on the Sports Hub.
.985 The Sports Hub. We're Dutcher and Hardy, and we are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch us on YouTube and do whatever you want with that. There's a big chat going on. It can lean negative. You go in there, you push those people around. You say, don't do that. The core members of the chat, wonderful people. I talk to them.
They do. They kind of police themselves.
Listen, we're not here to put our thumb on anything, Billy, although that has been suggested in the past, but I say no. Free speech. Billy Jaffe is all for free speech. He's a good guy. He's a Bruins analyst for Nesson and host of the podcast The Morning Brew, along with Andrew Raycroft. He joins us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. A weird day to be out of town, huh, Billy Jaffe?
Well, yeah. I'm at NHL Network.
You don't have to be. What I'm saying is, you don't have to be at Cuts for a Cause with the team.
Pucks and paddles.
Pucks and paddles with the team the day after they fire the coach.
Yeah, no, well.
What kind of mood do you think they'll be in? That's a way of asking a question. What kind of mood do you think they'll be in today? And then I'll get to that.
I think, listen, they're going to have practice before that. They'll have met with the media before that. And then, I almost wondered if they'll be able to look, players love the charity element. This is a great event that they go to, that's run by the team for years now, or by the players from the team and you guys.
It was my in Aaron Ward's creation. But go ahead. Yes.
I know. So okay, pat back, and I think that they'll actually maybe enjoy the what are you talking? 2 hours of the opportunity to play with some different people, have some fun. It's maybe a cathartic experience, type of thing for them as well. But it's. I mean, it's part of being a pro athlete. I mean, this is on the schedule, meaning pucks and battles. And so you go and do that, and you go there with a smile, and you understand that you've got to separate kind of that life from the other life.
All right. Did Montgomery coach himself out of the job, or did the players play him out of the job, in your opinion?
I would say it seems as if the players more so, but that they have not played with a regular amount of passion, of intensity, I was going to use a bad word, in the battle, you know what I mean? Scrum, like that kind of stuff that we're so used to seeing. So I think that Jim Montgomery tried, Fred, to do a lot of different things. He tried to coach in different ways, from the hugs to the yelling to, you know what I mean? All different type of things to push the buttons. And so maybe, I don't think he coached his way out of it per se, as they just stopped listening perhaps per se, or it stopped resonating with some of them. And, this didn't happen overnight, in my opinion. This was, the stretch this year that.
Well, did Florida break them? That was Ty Anderson's thought, that Florida broke them.
Well, Florida, they sure didn't start great against those 2 games against Florida. I think I don't think that helped. I think that I think that it put them into a place of, oh crap, we do not only, we need to battle more, and if we battle more, we have to take care of certain areas more. And then they weren't able to put it together, and that I think they understood that they still need to get better. And I think, and I think we talked about it here and on the hockey show. And while this team did a lot of stuff in the offseason, and I fully admit, I've said this on Ness and I've said it on your show before, I was bullish on this team. I didn't look at them as a Stanley Cup champion team when the season began, but I was bullish on them because if they added some stuff come later in the year, that this could be a very good team. And I think they realized that they need to add stuff now, Fred, that they didn't have some things. And this is also a team that is coming off 2 very unbelievable regular seasons, but very different in styles. And I don't think that I still don't know if they have an identity yet, Fred. And I think that is something that a team, if you don't have that, this is what we are-ness, if that's such a term, I think that's kind of, thank you. I think that's kind of hard, But you're right, it probably isn't a term.
No, I can definitively tell you it isn't. Billy, is that the fault of Jim Montgomery, or is that the fault of the Bruins not being together and not having a proper preseason, as admitted to by Cam Neely?
Yeah, I think it's, look, this whole thing, and this might be a lame-ass answer, this whole procedure result is a result of, like my SATs, not A, B, C, or D, but E, all of the above, where I went to for a lot of answers during my SAT times. And I think it is, Fred. I think it's a combination of everything. And players first and foremost have to look at themselves. And disconnected, disjointed preseason. Well, that needs to be then, look, you can't help the injuries out, but maybe the planning of it a little better. And then coaching, maybe you try this instead of that. This whole early season thing, and it's funny. I'm being at NHL Network. And people following the team, they're like, oh, what was, this is obviously what they're talking about yesterday since I got here and whatever. And they're not in it like we are, like we see it all the time. And while I got a text from somebody saying, oh, are you surprised that this happened? And I said, and a coach person in the league, and I said, no, because of the eye test of this, right? This is a 500 team, but it's been the eye test. And the eye test is that things you can see that need to get better. And this is cliche, but this is the quote unquote easiest first thing to do. Although the Bruins have tried to bring up players, they've tried to rattle some cages. That's, I guess, the first thing. Making a big trade is very hard to do. And they're going to look to. Whether they can pull it off, we'll see. But, this becomes the thing of, all right, hey, we have to make a change, because if the voice isn't being heard, if the message isn't being consistent, if it isn't working, let's try this move right now.
Okay, so we talk about the preseason and everything that's happening. Have you seen a reaction to Swayman? How much? Because Swayman's not playing well.
Lately, he has not. You're correct.
Yeah, and Swayman, I was concerned about giving a goaltender that kind of security and contract, especially one with the limited experience of Swayman in terms of being, a steady number one throughout a season. Did you get the feeling that the team was put off at all by the way he handled negotiations and the way that whole thing went?
I didn't.
The players?
No, I didn't have any comments from that.
I'll ask them today. They'll want to tell me.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's
I'll ask him in front of Swayman. I'll go ahead.
When you're in between
volleys.
Yeah. Yes, Red. Do that overhand slam and then ask a hard hitting question. I haven't had any of that come to me, so I can't answer that, Fred. And it's. He's absolutely has to be part of this solution, because he's your guy and he has to work himself out of this. There's no doubt about it. And this is going to be a different experience for him as an NHLer, because he doesn't have the luxury of taking off a couple of weeks, or a week and working on his game.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't have the luxury of only having a $3 million or 3-point whatever contract. He's got the 8.25 and he went through it. And this is part of it. This is part of being the big guy. This is part of now handling it. And, he's going to go through it at some point in his career. And so it's happening right now. And so this is going to be on him and all the other guys, but it's going to be on him to figure it out. He's going to put his work boots on. He's going to hopefully work through it, because he has to.
The strange thing about this is, in addition to the timing, and like you said, Billy, I can see how people on the outside looking in saying, what, 8-9-3, 500 hockey team, like, doesn't necessarily scream the coach is going to get fired. But as we were talking with Ty earlier and looking at Montgomery in there without any extension on his deal, there was a sense, at least from Ty and maybe from you too, that he was going to be gone at some point during this season regardless. So maybe this is just a case of it happened a little sooner than some people expected.
The only thing I would say, Hardy, is I can't say regardless, because I think they wanted this season to be an incredible, they still do, to be an incredible success. But if you want to play the hypothetical out, the team does well and he's doing well. Look, the fact that
maybe they extend him mid-season or something. I don't know.
Well, listen, the fact that there were, this is me surmising, there were conversations, overt comments about, wanting to extend him and make right at the beginning of the year and to make it work. That means to me that they already had discussions, whether they could come to an agreement or not on, let's say, a number or term. Maybe that's where they were at. So, maybe, if there was a number, if there was, it had to have been conversation. I don't see Don Sweeney and management saying they want to extend him without having sat down with them already and started talking about that. That's just the way it is. But maybe, they were just trying to work things out, see how things goes, maybe see how things went. As far as it goes, maybe both sides said, all right, hey, we both know that we want this to work out, but we need to figure out more of a number. And, maybe he's willing to bet on himself more. I don't know. We weren't in those conversations, but I can't sit here and say, I wouldn't say this. I mean, look, yeah, you're in your last year of contract. That doesn't make for security for either side, I guess. But on the other hand, I can't say it was inevitable. No, I can't say that, Hardy, that it was inevitable at some point. This was all team-based. And, guys, this didn't, this, and it didn't happen. The decision wasn't made yesterday or after Monday's game. I mean, the decision was based after Monday's game that this was it. It had to have been talked about for, a couple of weeks here.
What is the situation? You know what? Let's break, and then we'll come back with Billy, because I want to know what it's like having your replacement. Like, that the waters are chumming, and the guy that would be replacing you is next to you on the bench. Like, how that goes down.
Has been there longer than you have.
Yeah, Billy, I'm going to let that marinate, much like a foot in a mouth. I'm going to let that marinate for you.
That's a great taste.
Yes, indeed. All right. Listen, I just got to say one thing. This, you can put Billy on hold or whatever. This is a total non sequitur. Northern Illinois University lost to Miami of Ohio 20-9 last night. They beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame is currently the 8th seed in the college playoff.
They're in. They're in. They're going.
It's like it never happened. It's like you didn't lose to a team that just lost to Miami of Ohio. No. Like it never happened.
Notre Dame plays a terrible schedule, but because they're Notre Dame, they play the service academies. They play Purdue. They play a bunch of teams that aren't very good. USC has been up and down, and yet they always go because they beat Notre Dame.
Yeah, this is a team that has lost to Buffalo, Ball State, and Miami of Ohio, and they beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame, the 5th-ranked team in the country, and it didn't do anything to the ranking.
I think that would damage their power ranking a little bit.
I mean, you might as well just put in everyone in the SEC. They're all beat Notre Dame. Oh, my goodness gracious.
Just one quick thing. Boise State, according to the latest projections, actually may get a bye in the first round. They're the
because they won the
because they won it. Whatever, they have the Heisman Trophy candidate. Whatever.
The Big 12.
Everyone is now clamoring for the little guys to get in. Remember when Central Florida went undefeated and didn't get a chance at the title? Well, now you're going to get your chance. And when Boise State loses their game 50-14, then everyone will be quiet.
You think Ohio State's going to beat Boise State? That game is at Boise State.
Oh, no.
Oh, that changes my mind.
I like that running back. I'd take that running back in the first round. Hot take. Boom.
Woo.
I'd take him in the top half of the first round.
Ashton Genty is his name.
You're taking a running back? One of your first
Saquon Barkley,
15 picks?
Derrick Henry.
Let the Jets do that. They need a running back.
No, I don't want the Jets to. They don't need a running back.
Okay.
I haven't mentioned that at any time during this show today.
Well, we still have some time left in the show.
I focused on
There's still some
I've been
time.
laser focused on the Bruins. All right, Billy Jaffe will continue with us in just a moment.
he's seen different styles. How does he blend them and make them his own? He was here with Claude, he was here with Bruce, and he was here with Montgomery. And so I think he knows what buttons he can press and what buttons maybe need to be pressed with certain guys that we're talking about that are vitally important to this team. But ultimately, like it begins on the ice. Like I know I'm simplifying this way too hard, but it's a hard sell for me to say that, oh, okay, you're going to promote Joe Sacco and now everything's going to be better.
All right, we are Toucher and Hardy. Billy Jaffe is on the phone with us. He is, of course, the one of the big studio analysts. He's you can see him at the Bruins games. He's there in between periods, broadcasting live.
Go up, introduce yourself. Say hi.
You take a lady up there, he'll handle everything.
Billy takes pictures. He's great.
Yeah. Billy Jaffe, obviously Jim.
Great to see you.
It was great to see you too, buddy. I appreciate it.
Random visit, but it was like a pop-in, right?
I am. You got to pop in. All right, so here's the deal.
Yep.
The Jim Montgomery is out.
Yep.
There is an interim coach in.
Joe Sacco.
Sacco. Joe Sacco has been with the team. He's been a candidate for head coaching jobs.
Yep.
What's it like if you're Jim Montgomery, you're a lame duck coach, they have not extended you, and you kind of know that the guy who's next to you on the bench could be the guy who takes your job? There has to be an understanding between the two of them, right? That has to be aired out at some point, correct?
I can't. I mean, if you have a good relationship, there might be an understanding. I mean, look, it's not up to the head coach always. They get, they get to bring in some of their, if not their own staff, all their own staff. Sometimes it's usually one or two guys. I don't know how it works in other sports. I'm guessing in other sports it does work the same way. But Joe Sacco's been here, as you said, since I think it's the 14th season. And, he gets promoted to an associate head coach. And I'm guessing that was with an understanding, not just from management, but from Jim Montgomery as well. And they have a good working relationship. At least all indications are they had a great working relationship. Joe Mazzulla said it, the whole cliche about coaching, you're hired to be fired. These guys get it. Like, a lot of guys are head coaches, and I know this is different, Fred, than being on the same bench, but they know that their understudy in their American League or minor leagues is going to, have a chance to be that next guy. We've seen that. We saw that with Bruce Cassidy coming up from the Bruins, and that, so they're around the organization, but they're not standing right next to you on the bench all the time. To your point or your question, I've never saw any discourse. I never saw anything but and heard anything but great stuff between all the coaches. And again, this is what happens when you say we got to make a change, but if you don't want to go outside the organization because either A, you like the guy you have most, or B, you're not really sure who you have out there and you don't want to just make a quick reactionary type move, this is what you do. And this is part of being in the coaching business, Fred, when it's all said and done.
Yeah, Mazzulla said yesterday you're hired to get fired. My concern,
it's true. Yeah. All these guys know that too. Doesn't make it easier, but it's just a different mindset of a profession that these guys have.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it because when you meet these guys and you get to know them a little bit, then you know them kind of as a human being, and you feel bad because you know a guy who got fired. You know what I'm saying? But then you're right. But you have to know as a head coach that you're not going to have a very long tenure. Okay, here's my concern. You fired 2 Jack Adams Awards winners, 2 of the 5 last Jack Adams Awards winners. Do you think? I'll ask you first. Do you think Jim Montgomery is going to get another job in the NHL as a head coach?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do.
That seems
and
to be
I don't.
pretty nice.
It's going to be up to. I think now that the Pandora coaching box has been open, so that there might be other teams in the next 20 games that make decisions that need to be made. I think he'd be considered. I know he'll be for some opportunities from the sense of, here's a guy who's done well. And it'll be, I don't want to say up to him which one he chooses, but it'll be, does he want to play this year out, settle things down, or does he want to get back on the bench right away?
Okay, so you fired 2 coaches, one who went off to win a Stanley Cup the following year, and another guy who's going to get another job in the NHL. Whatever Jim Montgomery does, I wish him the best. It doesn't affect his decision. But you're out. You can't fire, this is done. The option for Sweeney and Neely making this the solution is not on the table anymore, correct? The coach is you can't pull this cord again, right? As an upper management group?
Well, I mean, if there's somebody else that you feel this is an interim tag, right, Fred? So now you see how things transition. You see where it goes. If there's somebody that becomes available that as management they feel is better, it's their opportunity, or I guess their right to do it. The hope is obviously that it works with
right.
Joe Sacco.
But here's the deal, Billy. My question is this, is that if the team goes 500 for the rest of the year, or the team, whatever result is not – ownership doesn't
you're saying at the end of the year.
Does Sweeney and Neely make the decision on the next head coach, or does the decision have to be made that, all right, we're going to just clean house at this point?
Everybody's going to be under review is my theory, right? Everybody's going to be under, if it's ownership will look at management will look at coaching, but ownership will have to make that decision. I guess, Fred, I just want to see how this thing plays out. Right now, it feels like that this is the most important thing is the right here, right now. And if we get through the end of the season and things are good, my guess is that there will be other decisions that will have to be made, and decisions will be made on that, Fred.
Is this roster good enough to make the playoffs? Right now, I guess they're tied for the second wild card.
Well, they're tied for it point-wise, but not percentage-wise.
But either way, Billy, I came into this season expecting the talent to be better than this. They're not. They have guys that have been playing well that aren't playing well. I'm trying to figure out, how good this roster really is, because from now to the end of the season, it's really on the players here.
Great point. Yeah, absolutely. And I told you, first segment, bullish on this team to begin. With some tweakage, I thought I was, at least my hope was that they could do some damage. We're going to find out, Johnny. You're going to find, you're right. It's on the players now. I'm sure you went through all of the players that have underperformed, especially compared to last year. This is where, if the message is being delivered by somebody else, sometimes you can't explain it. You guys know it well. You've been in the business so long. Sometimes, look, it could, even in your business, you get a guy in upper management, their message doesn't get through, but somebody else talks to you a different way, it gets through better. Sometimes you can't explain it. Johnny, we're going to find out if the message gets through. And it has to, and these players receive things better, then they're going to have to step up. If they don't, then again, everybody's going to be looked at and say, not just the players, but everybody that put the team together and say, what did we do wrong here? And there will be decisions made based on that. But now let's look at, this team needs to step up now, because are they good enough to make the playoffs? I think so. Are they good enough to do some real damage? Not yet. I haven't seen that kind of damage yet, or that kind of potential yet, but let's see if they can put it together for now, reset, and then move on from there.
It's just crazy. What is the message that wasn't getting through? Play like you've played since you were 3 years old.
It is.
Don't stand around and watch the puck.
It's not like an X's and O's thing.
Yeah,
right?
Fundamental, as you said, try-heartedness.
Yeah, thank you for bringing up the good term. Sometimes I don't, in life, sometimes just things don't resonate as well. And, you go through, you try all type of iterations of how you deliver messages and everything. And if for some reason, guys get their back up, it's a players league. Every sport now is a players league. You know that. You guys know that. You understand that. And let's see now if the players respond, and if it's the construction of the lineup or the lack of or whatever, then we'll see it more. But this had to be done, given the way that we saw in my eyes, we saw a lot of disconnect and not nearly enough emotion. I go back in my eyes to the I don't remember the date. It was a Saturday, the Philadelphia game. I go back to that game where I started looking, and I'm like, okay, you remember they were coming off a kind of a stretch of up, and then all of a sudden you got to build on it. And they didn't, and that game was that 2-0 game, and I felt like, wow, I know Philly did what they had to do, but the Bruins didn't do what they had to do. They didn't respond to that, and you didn't see a lot of oomph. Again, a very high-quality term. You didn't see a lot of that dedication, that passion it takes that we've seen from the Bruins in the past. So now, okay, and I think they rode the roller coaster up and down since then, and now they're going to have to figure this one out. Absolutely on the players.
All right, Billy Jaffe, thank you so much. Listen to him on the Morning Brew with Andrew Raycroft, and listen to him on Nesson, or watch him on Nesson tomorrow night as they get going, and the NHL Network, where he's in beautiful Secaucus right now.
It is gorgeous here.
It really is. It's just across the river. All right. Thank you so
See you
much,
guys.
Billy. We appreciate
See you,
it.
Billy.
There you go.
Gentlemen, nice to see you. Have fun later.
Thanks,
today.
Billy.
Thank you. Here's an email that we got. It said, "Hello, Fred. Do you have any concerns going to this event if Wallach is attending and not tied down by his ankle or perhaps caged? You may very well go berserk and make mistakes and mistake the ping pong balls as eggs from his coop and go ham on the entire place, kind of a liability." And then he says, also, why doesn't Billy Jaffe volunteer to be part of the auction? He seems like a fun-loving guy who really enjoys to talk to the people and cut loose. It's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jeffy would be a nice addition.
Sure.
Yeah, but he's over there in Secaucus. He can't be tied
there.
down. He can't be tied down with that. All right. When we come back, we will have the award-winning stack segment.
Finally, a chance for you to address something you've been holding your tongue all morning, Fred, but you're just going to
Jim
turn you
Montgomery
loose.
had to get fired.
Nope, going to
The
turn you
same
loose.
day.
Let you vent.
Boston sports fans, I'll tell you, I really bit the bullet for you today. Never say I don't love you. All right, we'll be back. Here are the headlines.
Sports Hub headlines.
Hey, we're touching Artie. The Stack is brought to you by D'Angelo Grilled Sandwiches. Sink your teeth into steak royalty. D'Angelo's legendary number 9 grilled sandwich, tender, juicy sirloin, onions, peppers, and mushrooms grilled to perfection. Get yours today. We're brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Hardy, what do we have today?
Got a little Dan Orlovsky here for you, Fred. Sorry, 12. Thank you.
For a general manager to drop that many high impactful players that are young and to get fired speaks to, well, there's a lot more going on that is negatively impacting the on-field performance rather than we're just devoid of talent. This is dysfunctional in New York after kind of seeing how this has all played out.
Yeah, Joe Douglas got fired, the GM of the Jets. He drafted Zach Wilson and for whatever reason made the move for Aaron Rodgers. Now he's fired. He has a worse record than John Idzik, Mike McCagnon. Who were terrible front office people. I don't know why this is shocking to people. And morons are going, I don't think Aaron Rodgers will be back next year. I mean, it's too much of a situation. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have Aaron Rodgers is not going to be in the NFL next year. No one watches all the games except for Dave Richard. It's not your responsibility. It's not my responsibility. No one watches all the games except for Dave Richard. Aaron Rodgers is an effing disaster. He blew up that team, and it's not his attitude or any of that stuff either. He sucks now. He can't move. He sucks. He's not good. He's not mentally as acute either because he's letting the play clock run out because he can't figure things out fast enough. What used to be, second transmissions in his head are now taking 10 seconds.
Do you believe the report in The Athletic that he went to upper management and asked him to bench Aaron Rodgers after that Week 4 loss?
Yeah.
Woody Johnson knocked on his door.
Okay, so here's the deal. Everyone's crapping on Woody Johnson. I guess he's a bad owner, whatever, okay? But here's the deal. If I'm paying hundreds of millions of dollars for every year for a product on the field that was supposed to finally go to the playoffs and make some noise, and they're a disaster, and Aaron Rodgers sucks, if I was the owner of the team, I would go down and first of all, who's telling the media all this stuff? It's obviously
Woody Johnson.
Woody Johnson's not saying that he went to the team and said to bench Aaron Rodgers.
Well, it wouldn't be the two guys like Saleh and
yes, it
Douglas
would,
who actually talked Johnson out of it, right?
No, they're the ones reporting to the media, John, that everything that Woody Johnson did, it's all coming from the perspective of guys that Woody Johnson fired. Okay? That's all coming from their perspective. Woody Johnson, from all accounts, Bert says, a crap owner. He was crappy to Manish Mehta. He's a crappy owner. Like, whatever. Like, he is. But this idea, I would have gone down. I don't think people understand how bad Aaron Rodgers is. Like, he was outplayed by Jacoby Brissett. I would go down if I owned that team, and I'd be like, what the hell is going on? Like, this guy's ruined my team. My son and I have sat on the couch 1,000 times and said, put in Tyrod Taylor. Or Aaron Rodgers has got up limping, and they're like, oh, no, he's limping. And you're like, oh, yes, he's limping. Like, maybe Tyrod Taylor will come in. He's reacting like a fan, which is not his job. But also, why can't the owner, like, just have a conversation about the team with the general manager, right? Like, I guess he asked them to bench a safety. I can't remember who, Mills? He asked them to bench a safety, which was weird. And I think he just freaked out because the team is so bad and he expected it to be so good. But if I owned a team, I should be able to talk to the general manager and go like, hey, why have you thought about, or the coach and going, what's going on with Aaron Rodgers? He sucks. Have you thought about not playing him? Like, I don't think that that's some kind of like insane thing. It's being reported that like the room was like, what are you talking about? He's just, we could never bench him. And my question is, why? Why? If you're the alphas in the room, why can't you bench him? Why can't you admit this was all effed up? We have a better chance of winning with the other guy and bench him. They're like, well, it's bad for his legacy and everything. F your legacy. I own the team. Screw you. Why can't you bench him? Why is that such a ridiculous notion? And I'm the only one saying that, by the way.
Well, I'll tell you why.
I saved
Fred.
that for 4 hours.
Because as bad as they are and as much of a disaster as they are not dead last in the latest, wait for it, Fox News Digital Sports NFL Power Rankings.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's a thing?
This is a thing.
All right.
And
it's not AI.
No,
this is written by a human being.
This is Ryan Guidos,
who we're positive is a living, breathing, sentient being.
He is a human man with thoughts and feelings, and he has the power rankings. We'll start with the New York Jets. Where do you think they are on this list?
I would think they're 28th.
New York Jets at 25. Another loss has triggered another shakeup. Joe Douglas, but they still have Aaron Rodgers. So at 25,
but they still have Aaron Rodgers.
At 25, they are one spot in front of the New England Patriots. Unchanged. They were at 26 last week. They're at 26 again. Cleveland Browns, Carolina Panthers, Titans, Jaguars, Giants, and Raiders are dead last.
Of starting quarterbacks, there's only one team with a worse starting quarterback than the Jets, and that's the Titans. I will give you Will Levis is worse than Aaron Rodgers. But that's it.
Would you care to guess the shakeup at the top of the Fox
Lions are
News
obviously
Digital?
number one.
Lions are number one for the first time ever in the Fox News Digital NFL Power Rankings.
Jeez, they looked at the standings. How about that?
Yeah, how about that?
Wow.
I wonder how they came
never
up
could
with
have figured that out.
Followed by
Kansas City.
No,
Buffalo.
Buffalo.
All right.
Yeah.
And
Sorry.
then Kansas
City. Okay.
Then it gets a little more interesting. Would you care to guess 4 and 5?
Philadelphia and Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay. Well, it's not that tough.
No.
Once again, just reading down the list of the standings here in front of me.
I mean, it's a little unfair. You had the standings. That's a cheat sheet.
Yeah, it is.
Minnesota probably next.
Yeah, there is a formula for picking the best teams that the league already does. It's wins and losses.
Yeah. I'm betting Minnesota's next on the list there, Hardy. Chargers probably right there.
All right. Hey, let's go to Chestnut Trill on Twitter, who tweeted at the show yesterday. Friend of mine and I went to Dallas for the BC SMU game. Friday night, we made our way to a very random dive bar. All of a sudden, this Boston icon walked in. Quote, "Excuse me, sir, are you Adolfo Gonzalez?"
Whoa!
He included a photo of his chance encounter with Adolfo. Look at Adolfo. Not only getting recognized when he comes back to Boston, getting recognized in Dallas.
The question is, did he admit to being Adolfo Gonzalez,
Yes,
or was he
sent
Joey
me-
Gutierrez?
I immediately got sent a picture that he was recognized and a video. But
good.
Peter, go ahead.
Hey, Fred. Probably the 20th time I've heard it now. To be satiated means that's full.
I knew it.
Sentient.
Yeah.
Is yeah.
I had a
Okay.
feeling I was getting too close to the sun with that. I was getting.
It's like the 30th time you've gotten that close. So yeah, it's time.
Yeah, oh, wow. Yeah, because I knew when I thought to say it that I was saying it wrong, and I didn't do it on purpose, but I didn't know how to say it right.
I know. I mean, and I'm not.
No.
perfect either, but, we all try to make each other better, right?
No, I appreciate it. That's why I took the call, is because I'm telling you, when I was about to say it, I was like, I'm going to sound smart saying this. And I'm like, no, you're not, Fred. You're going to say it wrong.
All right, well, I'm going to get off the phone before I mispronounce something.
All right,
so.
thank you, Peter. I just made a guy to hang up, just like Joe Murray.
It's impressive.
He wanted to get out of the
All right,
conversation.
man. I got to let you go.
I've become so tiresome that people don't even want to be on the phone.
There's a museum of ice cream opening in Boston.
You know who's a real hard hitter? Is that Tiki Barber.
What?
That afternoon show on the Fan.
Oh,
Woof.
yeah,
Red hot.
yeah.
I'll tell you. That used to be a great show. And Evan Roberts is fine. Tiki Barber just doesn't say anything.
No.
And he doesn't seem to particularly care about anything.
You say Tiki or TT?
So let's see what you got, homeboy.
Yeah, TT Boy would be a great addition.
Like a bird, my ground.
All right, very good.
I like hearing when Mad Dog goes off on something. He was all wound up about, who did he keep? Josh Paul, the Josh Paul fight. Right. I mean, and there's no one in his ear either. He probably said it 30 times.
That makes me feel better because Mad Dog obviously knows his stuff and is well respected, and he gets everything wrong. Just not in theory. His point he's making is correct. It's just the names are all wrong.
Right.
Which I respect because we all do that. And Mad Dog knows what he's talking about, but he's screwing up the names. It's impossible to name all these people. The guys that were hurt for Cleveland. Unless you cover the NBA, who the hell knows? Right. Those bench players. Go ahead.
December 14th, 2-floor, 13,000 square foot museum. The Museum of Ice Cream going to open its doors in the Seaport. You can also visit the Museum of Ice Cream in New York, Chicago, Miami, and Austin.
I believe my daughter and her mother have been there. the Museum of Ice Cream in New York City.
Oh, any desire to go to that?
Yeah, it's just curdled ice cream. It just turns green and starts to smell like vomit.
Sweet.
You got to go the first day, or you're screwed.
We've talked about artists playing large venues before. What venue do you think Post Malone could play?
I know
the answer to this too.
But it's such a good lineup that you really can't deny it.
Well, it's Post Malone with Jelly Roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're playing, of course,
Gillette Stadium, Saturday, May 31st.
What a crowd. And you have to give me credit. I ask for it often, but this I deserve. I told you 2, 3, 4 years ago that Post Malone was going to pivot to country music. I told you. He was going to do a Kid Rock. He was on very shaky ice, very thin ice, shaky ground with this whole hip-hop stuff. He was starting to get called out by Charlemagne the God and stuff. Like, people were on top of him, and he went, I'm going to pivot.
It's just so bad. I can't. I'm sorry. I can't.
It's what the thing is what's great about country music now is that there is literally a formula to make a hit song. Like, that's all there is. You could take just A, B, and C. You don't even need AI. And you could, if I'm a songwriter in Nashville, I'm concerned because there is a beat and a pace and a structure of a song.
Take a look at
that
the
is
number
a
one
guaranteed hit.
Take a look at the number one song in the country right now. It's been number one for 16 weeks.
What is it?
Shabuzi, Tipsy, right?
I don't even know that song.
12. It'll take you 5 seconds to find it, but it is going to tie Old Town Road for the record for being number one for the longest period of time.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to hear this song.
Like, if I was Post Malone, I would pivot the country too. Believe me. He ain't played Gillette Stadium as a rapper. Is this as bad as the one that said she likes...
They're all bad.
This guy performed live on City Hall Plaza during Celtics opening night.
This is going to break the record for...
Yes, it is.
Is this a country artist, Shabuzi?
Apparently.
You ever heard this song?
No.
Me neither.
Everybody getting tipsy.
Crush me, mommy.
I wonder if...
Crush me with those perfect feet.
I wonder if Hootie is somewhere very concerned that he's being replaced. There's only room for one of us in town, sir.
It's like the least discerning audience, so it makes sense. If you just...
We allow one of them.
If you've...
One per concert.
One good one.
One good one per concert.
But if you can like establish a name and you can sing and play a little bit, yeah, why not pivot to country? They'll buy the records. They'll go to the concerts. You'll make $1 billion.
And if you're if you're a white artist, it's a no-brainer because Kid Rock has paved the way. You go full MAGA on the people. You just get in and you get into that country artist with both hands because that's what they want. Is they want a white guy sort of rapping. They want it okay for them to like black people. So. But I've yet to find the formula for the minority artist to get into the country. I guess it's the Shabuzi is opening the door. I can't pretend to have the formula down. But for a white hip-hop artist that is on the very... Like, Machine Gun Kelly made a very, very big mistake, is that he tried to play Blink-182 type music, and it was a disaster, and it was... Everyone knew. Like, you can't play Riot Fest. Right? Like, you're playing Riot Fest. Not like Riot Fest is the coolest audience in the world, but I knew there was some pushback, but I told you they were going to boo Machine Gun Kelly off the stage, and they did. If he went to country music, they don't care.
No, they would have loved him.
They'll listen to anything. Look at this Zolak. They'll listen to anything.
Put it on the radio, play it 20 times a day. All right, maybe not. 10 times a day, and eventually you'll like it.
Yeah. It's just repetition. Just repeat. All right, if you're going to Pucks and Paddles today, hey, it's at the House of Blues. Thank you so much for taking part as we help support the Special Olympics. It's a very worthwhile charity. Hardy, John, and I will be there along with Ryan Johnson and the whole Bruins crew. Felger and Maserati, I believe, are broadcasting live from there.
Yep.
It's a great event. Hardy and I will be on top. I asked Kelly, I was like, and I think it was sincere, Hardy. You'll even agree. I was like, what are the expectations? Because I don't want the person that bid on me to feel like I let them down.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that was a sincere, I wasn't me being a jerk.
It's a very Jim Blossoms-esque sentiment of yours, Fred. If you don't expect too much of me, you might not be let down.
And we'll leave you with